Hey!
Hey!
Welcome back to, oh my God, I just have to say it. I just have to say it, dude.
Welcome back again.
I can't hold it in. We had done about 20 minutes of an episode, and then I realized that I wasn't recording. That is my blunder of the day. And now we'll have to pretend as if you're hearing my story for the first time, which is okay.
Wow.
I would actually appreciate maybe some elevated reaction, but it's all good.
I will. No, it was a good story, so I'm definitely going to laugh again.
Okay. Okay. Chili dogs.
Wow.
Dude, Cam loves that voice. I'll talk about Cam in a second. Anyway.
Okay.
So here is my intro story for you again, but first time for the audience. Essentially, every year, my college friends have Friendsgivmas, and I know.
Friendsgivmas? You mean Friendsgiving?
This episode is already better because you're just like, wow.
No. It says on my script, Jake pause for effect. Is that now or is that later?
It's for the next hour and a half, really.
Okay.
Pause for effect. Yeah, I do a whole show by myself, and all of a sudden I'm like signing off, and you're like, goodbye.
Yeah. Okay. See you later.
Anyway,
all right, keep going. Friendsgivmas? What?
Friendsgivmas, because, and I know it's Friendsgiving, but it's just because it's around more so the time of the holidays as far as Christmas and stuff goes, rather than Thanksgiving and stuff. So that, it's a little spin on the name. So just ignore that.
Wait, is it Friendsgivmas M Mateo or Friendsgivness N as in nothing?
Well, I can't really provide any justification for why it would be N. And I'm also further thrown off.
That's what I was hearing. So
I'm further thrown off by the fact you used Mateo as
don't get me wrong. I am thrown off as well.
not mom or master or anything relevant. You just, how about
Mateo? Maybe it's since we watched Jane the Virgin like 4 months ago.
Oh, God. Anyway, so Friendsgivmas, whatever. I brought my Nintendo Switch, and Jay was there. Jay, our buddy. I'm avoiding using last names just to save everyone's identity.
Because the only people listening to this podcast are serial killers.
True. About 40 of them are very well
40
adept.
Serial killers. Okay, sorry.
This
podcast is already so different than the last one.
It is, and that is the special thing about CrownCast, is that you never know exactly what's going to happen. Yeah. Anyway, I'm at Friendsgivmas, and I'm with Jay, and we're playing games. We're playing video games. More particularly, we were playing Overcooked and Super Smash Brothers, the most recent one, and we were having a good time. But also in the same room, we were also in the Luke's lake house over at Lake Anna, and we were in the basement, and Jay and I were sleeping in the basement along with Nicole, his wife, and Cameron, our other friend. And so we're all kind of in close proximity. We weren't really far apart from one another in this kind of kitchen area, basement-esque type of thing. And you remember, God, I hate pretending like I didn't just ask you this 20 minutes ago. Do you remember, do you remember on the last podcast when we were talking about listening to like the fan and ocean, things of white noise nature to go to bed?
Oh, white noise?
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, that was a very anime reaction of me. Yes, I do. I think we maybe told the story about being at NSR and picking out white noises, because there was another story with that. Maybe I'm wrong.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay.
That's correct, because that sound was perfect and you skipped over it. Anyway, so I was on the same mission as it pertains to rain. I was looking for a nice rain video to watch, and I found a good one, and I was like, Jay, here's one. It's got a black screen, so the light won't affect anybody. I'll just play it. It's a 10-hour video, and we'll just all sleep to some rain. It wasn't raining at all, by the way. It was just like, Also, it was 3 a.m., so it was pretty late. So now that I painted this picture for you, I'm in close proximity with all these people. It's very late. These people had already been asleep for like 2 hours. Jay and I were just like up playing video games. And I clicked on this rain video, and it was my belief that this rain video was going to be very pitter patter, very like light rain on the tin roof type of video. When it plays, it was like the loudest.
Gosh.
And it was very, very loud. And Jay, I don't know if he was upset. I couldn't really read him, but I was like, and even after this, after the loud rain, to try and like damage control, I was whisper to him. I was like, hey. I was like, help me find the volume.
Yeah.
and I thought he was gonna go. I thought he knew exactly where the volume switch was. Instead, he goes over right to the TV, straight to the power button, and just pew, turns off the TV and says, "Well, good night, Trae." I love it. Oh, okay. Good night, then.
I love it because it's like a parent. It's like such a parent move. It's like, you lost your right, and we both know it. Good night.
Oh my gosh, it was awesome. It was so great. Yeah. But we didn't. Our relationship hasn't been the same ever since.
Yeah, we don't talk anymore.
Yeah, it's just crazy. So
no, that's hilarious. It's funny too because if you knew Jay is not. He is a very low-key man. Does not get easily agitated. That's about as agitated as Jay gets, right?
Turning the power off on
turning the power off and
watching?
saying good night. That's about as agitated as Jay gets. But because of who Jay is, you're like, oh, dang, he's mad at me.
I don't even know if he was agitated. I think it was just funny how he was like not willing to help me on my adventure of finding this rain video. He was just kind of like, I think I've had enough of you for the evening.
Yeah, it's about over.
So it was great. Dude, Jay, I love you so much. If you're listening to this, it was just so funny, just how everything happened in that moment in context.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I love that guy. Unrelated. So just thinking in terms of stories, I have lots of stories now because since our last recording was in my townhome in Charlottesville, working for a property management company where I also lived, and there was an HVAC system that would not shut up. And I don't live there anymore. I live in Richmond now. I work at a church.
Cool.
And I'm a youth director.
As per tradition, would you mind giving your address and phone number?
Yeah. Which Trae lovingly did not publish. I could give the old address though, if we want to let the new guy just have it.
Yeah, go mess with him. Put an egg on his doorstep. Egg. Oh my God.
Yeah.
No, throw an egg in his house. Lightly place an egg on that man's porch.
And it's boiled. Yeah. So if you want to do that, just message Trae. He'll send you the address.
I gotcha.
But no, I live in Richmond now. I work at a church. It's awesome. I get to work with students all the time, and they're all amazing people.
Which means moving forward, our podcast will now be rated PG.
Yeah, which it was rated PG before, I think. Well,
no, it was. Yeah, no.
It was not rated R. If you're listening to this now for the first time. Yeah, so anyway, lots of random funny stuff happens now. Just high school kids, middle school kids, they do some of the funniest stuff. I've actually got a couple stories I could tell, but one of the things that happened literally last week was we had just finished Sunday school, and I'm a big film fan. This is exactly where we got cut off in the last episode. Trae was like, Jake.
Yeah. In case you're curious.
Yeah, in case you're curious, this is all new territory.
Yep. So now we're now with you in the fresh zone. Here.
This is real time. I am a big film fan. I watch every major release of the year. I've seen already 60 to 70 movies of 2019.
Wow. Do you still do Movie Pass?
No, Movie Pass. They're If they're not dead, they're almost dead. They have hung on like a zombie.
Really?
Yeah, they like, it's weird how they've kind of stayed alive. I think they're actually dead now. I could be wrong about that, but I am a Regal Unlimited subscriber. Which, if you live near Regal, is pretty great. $21 a month, at least for my area. They break it up by area, which is weird, but I pay $21 a month, and I can see as many movies as I want to. And you get like 10% off on concessions, so it's a good deal if you see a lot of movies. Anyway, after Sunday school, we were talking about, and I already know that this joke is gonna flop hard. Like, the story is not gonna be as funny as it was to me, but I don't talk a whole lot about how much I go see movies unless the kid is like clearly like, oh my gosh, I love movies. But after Sunday school, it just kind of came up. There was like maybe 5 of us standing around, and it came up about movies, and there were a couple who really loved movies and saw a lot of movies. And so we're talking about movies of the year. And this one girl who's there, she's like, oh my gosh, what's that movie? It has that guy. And she's trying to remember this actor's name. And so she's like, what's his name? What's his name? Oh my gosh, it's so close. And this one kid who's standing next to me, who I love this kid. He's really smart. He does debate. He's a brilliant kid. And I don't know why this got me, but it was the funniest thing I had heard in so long. She's like, what was that actor's name? Because we're clearly talking about movies. Like, we're not talking about anything else. And she's like, what's that actor's name? And he goes, Tiger Woods. And I lost it. And I looked at him as he was saying it, and I could tell he knew it was a joke. But nobody else laughed except me, and I laughed really hard. She's like, Tiger Woods, it's amazing.
Oh my gosh. I don't fully grasp the humor of it, but I think had I been there and maybe saw this kid's reaction and saw you react to it, I think I would have been gone.
Dude, it was it was definitely, I've told this joke this story like 3 times since it happened, and every time crickets. But I thought, why not say it on a podcast? But it got me. I don't know. You know, sometimes when people tell jokes, it's just like, oh my gosh, that was like the funniest thing I've ever heard. And that's, well, you know what, dude? You know what you're doing? You're subverting expectations when you tell these stories, which is now an official meme, as far as I know. Trae, you are the master of conversational segues.
I know. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So, actually, today I'll give you, I mean, when I say you, I speak to both you and the audience, but I just wanted to give a quick, brief, kind of outline of what we're going to talk about today. I wanted to talk about Star Wars for a bit, and we'll unpack that, talk about music, as we always will, and maybe some miscellaneous stuff moving forward. But more particularly, I wanted to talk, you know, everyone's excited about The Rise of Skywalker, right? It's on everyone's mind, and more than ever, I think there are 2 periods of time where The Last Jedi was all over the place. I would say that was like immediately after the movie, expectedly, and within the past couple months, I believe it's come up in my feed more than any other time.
Yes, it cropped up right before Solo again. Well, no, the conversation was hot
not so much for me. Yeah.
Oh, really? Well, I thought the conversation was hot from the time of The Last Jedi's release to Solo, and then some healing between Solo and now. And in the last few months, it's just the whole thing has been kind of... Yeah, it has been the movie that broke the fandom.
Yes, essentially. Sorry, I'm laughing because I know what's about to come. Before we actually get into that, though, I got an update on my phone very recently that I wanted your thoughts on. This is like completely fresh. This happened maybe moments before you called. I didn't warn you about this in advance, but I thought it was very interesting. I wanted to share it for just a moment. I saw that there will be no more required trilogy structures from LucasArts, which basically means that they have. Think about it. If you were thinking about it from like a recording contract perspective, like if you were doing like an album with options, essentially, like if your album didn't do that great, then the record label would not decide to take you for any further releases. It's basically saying like if one film fails at the box office, they don't have to feel pressure to do 2 more simply because that's been the pattern in the past. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, my first thought is, do you know what the source was?
Do I know what the source was?
Yeah, like what website you read it from?
Oh, the source for this. Yeah, it was something. It was the Twitter page. So I follow Angry Joe on Twitter, and then he retweeted something from an account called Discussing Film, and then it said that Kathleen Kennedy herself said that they plan to move beyond Star Wars trilogies, and they add it's because they don't want to be locked into a 3-film structure, and they want an open-ended view of storytelling. I think. Yeah. I have thoughts, but what are your first impressions?
I do too. Well, I mean, who knows? I'd have to look into it to make sure that it's really what she said. Usually, when people are quoting like Kathleen Kennedy, they're usually at least basing it on an interview that actually happened. They're not just making it up. But the last few months there have been so many, like just people saying it's official, like even in the last few weeks, like plot detail leaks where you're like, oh yeah, okay, dude, no one's seen the movie. The premiere was tonight. That'll tell you when we're recording this video. The premiere is tonight, so no one's seen the movie up until now except friends and people high up in Lucasfilm. So, and the cast has seen it now. So that's my first thought, is like, maybe this isn't real. But my thoughts are similar to the thoughts that I had after Solo. So after Solo came out and did not do very well, it did not make its money back. It's the only Star Wars movie to have lost money.
Really? I don't think I knew that.
No, yeah, every movie has made... That's the thing about the Disney reign. Everyone likes to just crap on the Disney reign of Lucasfilm. Every movie has made money except Solo. So Force Awakens comes out, makes over $2 billion. That's insane. Only 4 movies in history have done that. Then Rogue One comes out, makes over $1 billion, which is only maybe, 20 to 30 movies have ever done that in history.
I would also be careful not to equate,
it's true.
You already know what I'm going to say.
I know what you're saying, but go ahead.
Successive money with the objective and subjective greatness of a film. But
yes, absolutely.
But money is important. I get what you're trying to say.
That being said, and I can so Force Awakens was a hit with, generally speaking, the audience, hit with the critics, hit at the box office. All three things. Rogue One is actually, I would say, probably the best received by the fans movie. It was generally a hit with the critics and was a hit at the box office, made over $1 billion. Then you get The Last Jedi, hit with the critics, hit at the box office, over $1.3 billion. Hard mix among the fans. So that was the first kind of like chink in the armor, really. I know there's people who don't like The Force Awakens and Rogue One, whatever, but you being one of them, I think. And that was the first chink. And then Solo, which was actually well received by the audience, well received by the critics, generally speaking, but flopped at the box office because they basically shot that movie twice. And but it was a good movie. I mean, we saw that movie together, and we walked out. We're like, that was fun. Like, we had a great time at that movie. Like, it was a good movie.
At Solo?
Yeah, at Solo, right? Do you still like Solo? I know at the time we both loved it.
Yeah. I would say, I think a part of that was because I was going into this like, oh shoot, this is gonna blow, and then like,
yes, a little bit me too.
And we could talk about. I do want to say I'm upset. Jake and I are not going to be viewing Rise of Skywalker together.
Oh gosh,
that makes me very upset because we've seen every Star Wars movie that's come out since then, and I still remember every single reaction after the movie, like the way we looked at each other, like, and what surprised me, what surprised me is this time at Solo, we had looked at each other and we kind of both did that was pretty good type of thing.
Yeah.
Like that wasn't that bad. Like I wasn't pissed off at it.
Yeah, it was. I think I would still say it was like a 6 to 7 out of 10. Like it's not a perfect movie, but
Sure.
it was fun.
Yeah, sure.
And but the movie flopped hard because they basically shot it twice. And then after Solo came all this stuff about how, yeah, we're not going to do any Solo movies anymore. And the lesson we learned from Solo was that people aren't interested in Solo movies. It was like, what? No, that like was not the lesson you should have learned. The like, and we can all argue about why Solo didn't do so well, but the reason was not that it was a Solo standalone movie. The problem was like, you shot the movie twice. You didn't market it super well or far in advance. It was a movie about a beloved character named Han Solo that we've all loved forever, played by a guy who was not Harrison Ford. All this stuff that kind of coalesced into this flop. And I'm like, no, and now they're doing Obi-Wan as a series, a limited series.
Yeah.
But like, I would love to see Obi-Wan as a movie, which I guess apparently it was a movie at one point, and they've kind of flexed and made it into this limited series. So I'm kind of curious to see how that goes. But
yeah, weird
like,
flex, but all right.
Yeah. Dude, I just learned what that meant because I'm a youth pastor now.
That's awesome, dude. I hope they can teach you everything that I realize I'm now starting to fade on. I'm like watching people like, what?
Dude, I literally had to watch a YouTube video explaining to me what that meant before I knew what it meant.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so that's an ultimate dad move. But,
oh, well.
So I just remember being like, but I would still love to see an Obi-Wan movie in the theater as Obi-Wan. Like,
yeah, same.
I just love movies a little bit more than I love TV, so I'd love to see it that way. But to me, this is just hearing you say this about bringing it all back now. Like, no more trilogies. To me, that's like a misunderstanding of what went wrong. Like, the problem, quote unquote, because I think this trilogy has been great. The sequel trilogy has been great. But the problem with the sequel trilogy has not been the fact that it was a trilogy. The problem was you made a movie in the middle called The Last Jedi that half of the people loved and half the people hated. Well, generally speaking.
Additionally,
some people loved it, some people hated it, a lot of people fell in the middle. But
yeah,
you just, that was the problem. It wasn't that you made a trilogy. It was that you made a movie that a lot of people didn't like. And so that's my thought on it, basically. It's like that seems like the wrong lesson to learn, but okay if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, just to add to that, I don't even know if it was the reception. I mean, the reason that she gives here is, we don't want to be stuck into the trilogy. We want open-ended storytelling. And I'm a huge proponent of limit yourself and you get more creative. So if you tell someone, hey, we're going to do a trilogy, we're going to do 3 movies, I would not, absolutely not, plan each movie out as they come. I would not do that. I would be like, all right, we need start to end. What's going to happen? How do we fill 3 movies out with this, with interesting things that accomplishes these objectives? I think this trilogy crap, this just kind of shows their hand. It's just kind of like, we don't want to do trilogies because no one wants to sit down and figure it out. No one wants to sit down and sit here and go, here are our plot points. Here's how we're going to subvert expectations. Yeah. And then, I just think it's all...
So
I don't like the explanation they give,
Yeah. And it's interesting because they have been criticized, maybe not by everybody, but by a lot of people because a lot of people, and understandably, I think this kind of maybe generally was what happened. Yeah. Was they made The Force Awakens. It was in my opinion, it was a great start to this trilogy. Mm-hmm. And then JJ's off, Rian Johnson comes on, and they say, well, what story do you want to tell? And he writes a movie that is based off of the last one, but maybe cuts off in a different direction than what JJ had intended. And we'll never know if that's actually what happened. But generally speaking, that's kind of the prevailing theory about what went wrong. And again, I say went wrong in quotes because I've loved both movies. So a lot of people will say that was the problem, was you made the first movie out of connection with the second movie, and now we're making the last movie as kind of a response to the second movie, which was out of connection with the first movie, and now it's all kind of a jumbled mess. To your point, I think it would be great if you said, okay, let's make a trilogy because we've got this one story and we think it's got 3 parts, and those 3 parts are going to be 3 awesome movies. I think that would be sweet. I think saying we're not going to do trilogies from the outset is maybe a mistake, but I don't know.
Yeah, I just thought that was interesting that I didn't like the justification, and I wanted your impression on that. But I think maybe now is a good time to switch to the movie at question.
Yes. Yeah.
I will say this: when we saw The Last Jedi together, we kind of did the same thing we did about Force Awakens. Here's what happened when we went to Force Awakens. We went and saw the movie, and we were like, I don't know about this. And then the next day, after we had time to think about it, we were like, I think we liked that. Yeah, I think we could. Yeah. I think we could confidently say we liked it.
Because, dude, it had been forever. So Force Awakens was funny because I went into the theater not all that excited.
Really? Because I thought you were stoked.
No, I mean, I was stoked, but it was like the buildup had happened over the last week before I saw that movie, because I was like, oh my gosh, this is really happening. And I saw it, and it had been so long since I'd seen a new Star Wars movie, and it was so different than the prequels that I was like, I just don't know about that. And it did. It took a little time before we kind of were like, I think I liked that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it took some thinking, which I think is a good way. A lot of people are like, if you have to reason yourself through a movie, well, no, you see everything at once, and it's really hard to digest everything. I think just a multitude of things that can happen. It depends on your mind. But with that being said, we had gone into Last Jedi, and then as we were walking out, we were like, I don't know, we're still not sure about it. And then we woke up the next day on completely different ends of the spectrum. And I think what's so funny about that is you're one of my best friends. I respect you to no end. And
Same.
I'm so excited by your love for Star Wars and this whole franchise. But for the life of me, don't know why you like The Last Jedi.
Oh, I love it.
And I don't know why I hate it. Well, I do know why I hate it, but I also I don't know why I can't get past these things.
Yeah, it's weird.
So with that being said, you know my feelings on this movie, and I know your feelings on this movie. I thought it would be really fun if we swapped, and I thought it would be really fun if I said, hey, here are some things I like about the movie. And then you could let me know, because I bet even though you enjoy this movie, I bet you could still look at it and be like, okay, I wasn't a huge fan of this.
Oh, totally.
So
it's not a perfect movie.
Yeah. So let's just bounce back and forth. I will, I'll start.
Okay.
One thing that I liked about The Last Jedi, and just to clarify this, because I like a thing doesn't mean I like everything surrounding this thing, like the context and everything. We can talk about anything. It could be like a proof of concept. It could be, you'll see when we start listing off things, you'll see what I mean by this. But one of the things that I liked as a proof of concept was the irony of Rey and Kylo's backstories and their respective roles. What do I mean by that? I mean that it seems to me, and actually this isn't my wholly original thought. I was listening to a couple things and I heard this in context. It was a Film Joy video, I think on YouTube, because I was trying to prep for this, because I was like, all right, what are some good things about this movie?
And to Google good things about The Last Jedi.
I was like in YouTube, like, okay, why do I like this movie? Try to do some research.
Yeah.
But to further expound upon what I mean. Oh, also, just as an aside, if you've never seen these movies, you're gonna be totally lost and spoiled to high heaven.
Everyone listening to this video has seen these movies.
Yeah, I'm very sorry. You should go see these movies. It's a part of culture.
Yeah,
I feel like
that's right. Yeah, I agree.
It's so funny because our last episode ended with like, don't spoil anything. And we're sitting here like, well, here's some spoilers. But what I don't like is when people would just spoil it without saying, hey, this is what's going on. This is what we're talking about.
True. Although this came out 2 years ago. So you've had your chance.
True. It's so funny. We also talked about that in the last one. I won't get into it, but the thing about the year long, I don't know. Go listen to that. If you don't know what we're talking about, go listen to that. Anyway, the irony of Rey and Kylo's backstories in their respective roles. I'm saying that Rey kind of has a villain's backstory, but yet she remains the hero, and Kylo kind of has a hero's backstory, and yet he's the villain. I think it's very interesting how Rey kind of grows up with nobody. She's learned to fend for herself. This is the perfect backdrop for someone who's very angry at the world, for someone who's very like, I hate things. I'm going to become a villain. Not like in story, but like that's how the writers see it. And the same with Kylo is he is both a Solo and a Skywalker. And he's, got all these nice things for him going, like his family and despite what happens in The Last Jedi, he was being trained by Luke Skywalker, like the perfect setup for like a Jedi hero to rise, and yet he is the villain.
Yeah.
I think that irony is very interesting.
That is, dude, that's a new thing I love about the movie now.
No! So,
I love it.
but that's why I wanted to do this, because I feel like, I don't know, it's fun to argue these things against one another. But it's even more fun to try and understand one another, because at some point maybe you'll remind me of something that I maybe don't like, or
I will.
Just to show you that I do appreciate what some of the things they tried to do. Yes. I'm not like full of hate, but I don't like it.
No, this is valuable because the movie has really split the fandom into like all kinds of different facets, and a lot of it has been finger pointing of like, well, you just don't understand what Star Wars is. And like, I think this is a good way for us to say, no, you grew up loving Star Wars. I grew up loving Star Wars, and we're literally born in the same year, I think. And we have completely different views on this movie, and that's fine because the movie is largely subjective, and that's kind of how film is. And so I think this is a valuable thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, what's your second one?
You go now.
Oh, me? Oh, we go one-on-one. Okay, great.
Yeah. So I don't have to talk for a long time.
No, that's good. That's smart. Okay, so my first thing, I kind of scanned through the movie a little bit, just to kind of, because I'm watching it tomorrow, 2 nights from now. I've been doing a marathon with some guys.
Oh, that's kind of stupid. I'm kidding.
Yeah. Why would you want to marathon all the movies right before the climax of the Skywalker saga, you idiot?
Yeah.
Okay, so my first one was, this is a small one, but the Hux humor. Is he Commander Hux or General Hux?
Admiral? I don't know.
Admiral Hux. He has some moments. So I've heard Rian Johnson talk about him in this movie, and he said the first time he saw him, he's like, I thought he was a really funny character.
I have seen that. Oh my gosh, yeah. And
he played that up hard in this movie, and I honestly, I get where he's coming from. I'm like, yeah, he's kind of a ridiculous character, but it's a little much in this movie, and I'm curious to see how much they use him in episode 9, because of how kind of at the end of the movie, you're like, this guy's a cartoon character and he's kind of a dope. And I'm curious to see if they really even use him in episode 9, because he really came across as kind of just a dummy. But like starting with that whole like X-Wing, like, okay, I'll hold for General Hux, all the way through the end where Kylo Ren force pushes him up against a wall.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how it goes from here, because it was a little, and some of the moments are good, I think. And he is kind of a goofy character, because he's kind of a cartoon character, because he's kind of this like Nazi general sort of, but it was a little much.
Yeah.
All mine get bigger from here, but that was the first one.
I do want to, maybe I should lay some ground rules. There are so many things that I just want to be like, yeah, you're so right. but
Yes,
in this bit, I'm not allowed to be like, I'm not allowed to counter you or be like, that sucks. You know what I mean? Like or I totally agree with you or anything like that. And you're,
fair enough.
Because we're just trying to get across here are some things that we liked and disliked. From the people that respectively dislike and like the movie.
Yeah. No, and I'm guessing you agree with me.
Yeah, no, oh yeah, with everything you could possibly think of, I agree with.
Yeah,
just leave it at that.
And so we've got some common ground. All right, what's your number 2?
But I think, I'll tell you my number 2. I think you would be surprised by what I have to say, but I don't think I would be as surprised as what you have to say.
Okay.
That's just my impression. Anyway, my number 2. Force Skype as a concept, essentially.
Yes.
Yeah, I like, and yeah, okay, Snoke did it, whatever. And that's why I say as a concept, because I come from a background, I really love Dragon Ball Z a lot. I have nostalgia goggles for it, so I can definitely see the problems with it. But at the same time, I just love it so much. And maybe that's something, if we ever have an anime kind of podcast in the future, we could talk about maybe some good ones, some bad ones, or at least some that I know you're not as well versed. Anime. I know, but that's what will make it fun, is I can give you some suggestions. Anyway, and the reason why I bring up Dragon Ball Z is because there's a lot of unexplained things that are just a part of the world in that movie. Things like energy, flying, power levels, just things of that nature. And one of the things that some characters are able to do is to communicate telepathically and maybe see things in their mind's eye and feel people's energies. When people have died, people who are familiar with their energies, they notice that the energy is gone. So they get really sad in the show because, just things of that nature, really weird, ethereal, supernatural things. So what I liked about Force Skype, and when I say Force Skype, I just mean the connection, the kind of visual and mental connection that both Rey and Kylo had with one another. They could see each other and communicate and talk. And it was just like Force Skype, I really liked that ability if it had just been because, they were tied together or they were able to communicate at will, not with the help of Snoke or whatever. I really like that type of thing. It's like a Force ghost, but different, right? It's like in real, for the living.
Yeah. No, I totally dig it. And Cal Kestis in in Fallen Order. He's got some special abilities too. So
yeah,
it's not unprecedented in Star Wars. Anyway, I think that's good. Okay, my number 2 is Leia surviving in space.
Okay.
I don't have this has sat wrong with me since I saw the movie.
Do you remember how I grabbed you in the movie when she flew out the thing?
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah, I do. There's a couple. Dude, there's another one coming up. My next one, I've got another moment where we looked at each other and went, and then it was something else. So, Leia, and this is partially Star Wars' problem, not the movies. Star Wars has, did you watch Clone Wars, the series? Or the movie?
Do you mean like the 3D one or the 2D one?
The 3D one. I have not seen the 2D one yet.
I don't know why I asked you that, because I haven't seen either.
Okay, fair enough.
But I watched someone's video about why it was good, and I wasn't intrigued, and now I'm really intrigued because of that, because of this person's video.
You should watch it. You should watch it as a Star Wars fan, because there will be some things you love in it, and so, at least on my part, some things I loved, some things I did not love. But it's a good thing to watch as a Star Wars fan, because it is directly like George Lucas influenced, and it's interesting. Like, it's never not interesting. There's definitely some goofy stuff, whatever. So the reason I mention that is because in Clone Wars, this was not the first time Star Wars has played fast and loose with how space works.
Sure, yeah.
Like, there's a shot in the Clone Wars where, like, Anakin and Obi-Wan and Ahsoka are, like, jumping through space. They've got, like, a glass dome on their head that's, like, helping them breathe. But everything else about them is basically just clothes.
Like a
and
fishbowl?
They're jumping through space. Yeah, exactly. It's like Mysterio from Spider-Man. And they're jumping through space and kind of being pulled towards the ship. And it's just like, I remember watching it and just being like, you've got to be kidding me. This is the dumbest thing.
Yeah.
And in as much as I like the theory of what's happening with Leia, that she's force sensitive, and I don't really have a problem with the fact that she pulls herself towards the ship, because, you know, remember that whole, like, science problem where you, like, throw a hammer in one direction and you fly back towards Earth or whatever. That makes sense to me. It's like you wouldn't need to be even that force sensitive to pull yourself towards the ship. But the fact that she survives out in space as a, 60 to 70-year-old woman, and survives out in the coldest space, opens her eyeballs, and pulls herself towards a ship, was just... There were other ways to say, Leia's force sensitive than that. And that was... Because that was...
drastic example, yeah.
Yeah, like, there were better ways, maybe she kind of force chats with Luke, or she, pulls something towards herself in a tense moment. I don't know. I guess ultimately I think it was a move for them to pull her out of the plot of the movie, which is unfortunate since it was her last real performance. But that was kind of ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest.
Dude, you know what you reminded me of? When she, in Empire Strikes Back, when she kind of felt Luke's presence, like communication.
Yes.
That was like the first iteration of Force Skype, was it not?
Yeah, no, I think so. Especially for someone who's kind of untrained and another person who's partially trained. I think that's...
Yeah. So it's not necessarily a new thing. It's something that maybe they just really unpacked. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
okay.
Can I pause you real quick? I gotta pee, and I think this might be a good time for us to, like, keep the recordings going. Is that okay?
That's perfect. We'll take a quick break.
Okay, perfect. It'll literally be like 40 seconds, maybe.
Okay. Yeah,
you'll hear it.
I don't need to know any of this.
Okay.
Welcome back after the break. As I remember, we left off number 3. I will open up with my thing that I liked. The light and dark Jedi teaming up briefly. I thought that was really cool. What?
I said, who said that?
Yeah, who else is in here?
No, keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, order in the court. So I liked this because I like, again...
Uh-oh.
What?
I can't hear you.
Hello?
Okay, wait. I hear you now.
Hi.
Okay, we're good. Weird.
Okay. So I don't have to explain why that happened. Let's just restart.
Okay, that sounds good. I said, okay, I'll kick you off.
Well,
so tell me your number 3, man.
You know what? Maybe I should just explain it. Maybe I should just say we're on Discord together, speaking to one another. However, the audio sources are coming from different spots. Like, mine's coming from my mic and his is coming from his phone. And I mixed them after the fact so that the audience would not have a terrible time trying to understand what happened if your voice was to cut out due to electronic or server, issues, right?
Right.
So maybe I'll just leave that in there. There are moments in which we have to kind of clarify and say, what did you say? Even though to you, it might be clear as day.
Right.
So, and then we were making fun of this earlier. I might throw that bit in there too about how we were like, yeah, it's going to be weird if you like were so clear. And I was like, what was that?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Anyway, moving forward, as I said, the whole light and dark Jedi teaming up briefly. Again, this idea comes from just from some anime that I've seen and other movies that I really like. I really like the idea of, for a moment, a bitter kind of rivalry becomes teamwork for a necessary purpose, like a common enemy or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
So I won't say I liked every aspect that surrounded this, but I got really excited when I saw for a moment that Rey and Kylo had teamed up to fight a third party or third parties. I thought that as a concept was really cool.
Like when they spin around and they're about to fight the guards.
Yeah, I thought, yes. I thought the way it was shot was like the movie kind of knew what it was doing. I will say this, that's probably how I would have done it. Has been like, you know, play the Force theme and they stand up and you're like, and then the music and then everything slows down and then they kind of, and like you're just soaking it in. You're like, oh my God, they're teaming up, you know.
And the way when Kylo lights his lightsaber and it glows on his face, and you're like, oh!
Yes, yeah, that's kind of cool. I'll give you that. I give my man something.
Okay. It's awesome. Okay, nice. I agree with you. Okay, my number 3, and this is connected with my next one. This is number 3 thing I don't like. Canto Bight. Canto Bight is the gambling planet in episode 8, and just a lot of this. It is the worst section of the movie by far. And everything from the look of the casino planet itself, Canto Bight, the actual casino, it looks kind of too much like Earth, and it's just doesn't quite feel like Star Wars. I love the idea, but it's not executed in a way that I love. And dude, so this was the other thing. We're in the theater next to each other. They're in the casino. Finn is like freaking out. He's like, "This is awesome," and she's like, "No, it's not." And then kind of like the glasses rumble in the scene, and he's like, "What's that?" Or Rose, I forget who it is. I think it's Rose who says like, "No, that can't be." And I think we like grabbed each other at the same time and looked at each other and went, "Oh!" And I think we mouthed at the same time. We said, "Pod racers."
Oh yeah, yeah! I was so psyched. I thought that's what it was gonna be.
I was too. And they run out there, and it's these dumb animals running around a track, and we were both like, oh. And I was just like, they should have been pod racers. That would have been such a cool tie-in. It would have been cooler looking than what we got. It was just kind of a bummer. And the one thing that really irks me about that whole scene, like, you know, they break out of the casino and they're riding the fathiers down, you know, out to the cliffs or whatever. Yeah. And they think they're about to get caught. And Finn says, "Oh, it was worth it to tear him up, make him hurt." And I was like, oh, like at no time have I watched that movie and I've heard that line. And there has been no time where I have not gone, oh, that's not great. Because it's not worth it. Like, they're trying to save the rebellion or the resistance. And it's ugly. I don't love that line. And in that whole scene, it's not, as much as I love the movie, that whole sequence is just kind of off with the rest of the movie. Yeah. And I sort of like some of the parts he's getting at, but it just doesn't click for me. So that's my number 3 for sure. Yeah, and you know, the more I think about it, it was worth it to take those animals that have probably been raised in captivity to release them, have them probably kill themselves because they're not ready, and then maybe have the children who already have a terrible life, the slaves, to go and
round up those animals, probably they possibly injuring or dying in the process.
Sure.
Worth it.
No debate.
Worth it.
No debate. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. No debate. But it just came off in the wrong way with the rest of the film.
So, welcome back. We had a little bit of a technical issue there just because Jake's internet, and that is just the nature of electronic podcasting in this day and age in 2019 and stuff like that. So yeah, forgive us. All I did was throw in a little segue, a little musical segue to kind of bring us back into what's happening. So, if I remember correctly, you were discussing Canto Bight and just the things we were making fun of the animals and stuff, or not making fun of them, more so just talking about how it should have been pod racing.
And you were saying like, I get the message, like it's good, like, free the slaves, don't torture animals, it's great, but it just it didn't fit, I don't think. Yeah,
it was a stretch, but I'm glad you mentioned Finn, because he's actually my next point. My next, I believe my number 4 for why I liked, or something I liked about The Last Jedi was, and this, I don't exactly know how to say this because it's very simple. It's Finn's arc, but Finn's arc in a sense, because I don't like what they did to him in The Last Jedi. I wish he hung out more with the main characters, and I wish he kind of did more. But as a concept, again, I keep saying that to kind of save myself, but I liked Finn's arc in that he started out as a stormtrooper running all the time, and even continuing to run, or has the appearance of running. And his scene, if not ruined by a certain action that happens, was so powerful when he was like gunning towards the cannon, when in the ship that he was in.
Yeah,
I thought it would have been really special for if he had gone through with it and like just struck that cannon. It just would have been such a very selfless act. What would have bothered me about it is if I wanted more Finn. I like Finn as a character, and to have him go out so quickly, I would have been upset. But I thought the idea of his arc of always running and finally heading straight forth towards the First Order to save a bunch of people, sacrificing himself, would have been awesome. If only they could do it, in a way that I like. I say correctly. Who knows what the correct way is, but in a way that I would have been like, wow.
Yeah, and there is no correct way, I think. But I actually agree with you. And that actually ties into my next point too, which is it's Finn. It's Finn's arc is actually one of my negatives, and it's his and Rose's arc together. That is a struggle for me because their storyline together, I actually like Rose as a character, and I think she had past tense and has present tense a lot of potential as a character. But it was their storylines together that didn't. It was just this kind of naive story in a way, which I guess he was going for. But it was too fanciful, kind of too stupid, and because they kind of show up at this casino planet, and they kind of seem just kind of ignorant through the whole story. And then you do get to that last little bit with Finn, where he's gonna sacrifice himself, because that was Rian Johnson's thing. He was like, Finn has left the Empire, or left the First Order, but he has not become a part of the Resistance yet. And I'm like, you know what? That's a good analysis of what's going on with him. And in that scene, he's kind of full throttle committed to the Resistance. He's gunning down, and he's ready to sacrifice himself. And then she stops him so that he can be in the next movie. And their storyline together felt like such a departure from the movie in a way that just felt really out of left field. and I don't think it worked for the movie. And connected with yours, I think they did not do Finn a great service. I do think part of it came through, and that now he's more committed to the Resistance, but it was just weird. The whole thing through, with the whole Canto Bight thing, and I just don't think their arcs were properly used. And I hope they do better by Rose in the next one. And I hope they do better by Finn in the next one, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, those were weak spots for me.
Yeah. Moving on, my next one's kind of a two-parter. It's like 5 and 5.5, I'd say.
Okay.
Essentially, it has to do with the throne room scene and the fight.
Yes.
There's some problems with that, but I will say what I liked about the choreography, at least, was the part. I'll say one for Kylo and one for Rey. That's kind of like my two-parter.
Okay.
I really liked Kylo's dual wield sequence where he is fighting and he grabs a guard's weapon, and that whole sequence where he's just like fricking someone up with both weapons, I thought was so cool, because I was like, that I would say if I were a Jedi, that's how I would fight. I would fight in such a ruthless way where I'd be grabbing the enemy, and like, I don't know, I feel like a lot of Jedi would be like really calm about their battle stance and only use their lightsaber. I feel like it would be, for me, it would be like a bar fight. You know what I mean? I feel like that would be a very interesting character in Star Wars, someone who fights in that manner. And I thought the fact that he just ripped that weapon from that guard and was like hitting him with his own weapon, I was like, that's awesome.
It is.
And then for Rey, I really liked her battle cry and her outfit.
Oh, yes.
I thought that was cool. Yeah, where she
I think
swings
she's
the
gonna
saber.
do that in the next movie too. It kind of seems like she's gonna go crazy in this one.
Oh, her token battle cry. her catchphrase.
She seems like she's a screamer now.
Yeah, that's cool. It was a very, very good scream, and I liked her outfit. So I'll say that. I'll throw her my 2 cents there.
Fair. I love it. So I also have kind of two more. They're not as related as yours, but my fifth thing was the ship. So when they're on, what is the name of that planet at the end? That's like
Crate
or whatever. Crate. That's right. Okay, Crate.
You mean Himalayan salt?
The bath salt planet.
The bath salt. I know. I know what you're talking about. You're talking about not Hoth. That's what you're talking about.
Yes, exactly. Not Hoth, because it's at the end of the movie, not the beginning.
Yeah.
So they're on Crate. The rebellion hops in these ships and flies towards the guerrilla walkers. As cool as that scene looks, with the red coming up and everything, the colors are great. I love it. Those ships never shoot. They never shoot. They can't, there's not a single scene where they shoot a laser at the guerrilla walkers they're flying towards. I'm like, I don't get what's supposed to be happening. You're just flying towards them, and there's, you're not shooting cables out like it's Hoth. This makes no sense to me.
Okay. So you're saying that the ships that the Resistance were flying were...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time I watch it, I can't get over the fact that it's like, what's going on? This is just a distraction. Are you trying to shoot? Did that get edited out? I don't get this. So that's really frustrating for me. And my sixth thing that I'll kind of throw in under the radar that's related to Crate, I guess that's my tie-in, is that... excuse me. If I was writing this movie, I would do everything the same with Luke, except Luke. I don't think Luke would die. Mm-hmm. And that's me not knowing how Episode 9 works out. But I remember distinctly watching it with you for the first time, being stoked about the fact I was like, oh, he's not really there. That means they don't have to kill him.
Yeah.
And then they killed him anyway. And I remember in the theater, my reaction then has stayed pretty true to now, where I was like, man, you had it all set up that you could have your cake and eat it too. You could have him have this amazing face-off with Kylo and not die, and then you killed him anyway. And honestly, the main reason I love this movie is related to Luke in his story arc. I think that's what the story is about Luke, and it's about losing your faith. But that was also just something at the end I was like, oh, come on, you could have kept him alive. Like, what was the point of killing him? Like, it didn't connect for me. So yeah, that would be my last thing.
Yeah, we just got jerked around so much. It was just so funny. Like,
yeah,
because that was a crucial question: was will they kill him off? And to have him show up and get fired at and be like, oh, he's dead. Oh no, he's just powerful. Oh, he got stabbed. Oh wait, he's not there. Oh, cool. Oh, he died anyway.
Yeah, exactly. When it was that last twist, I was like up with all the twists until the last one.
Ba 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 ba.
It's just like I was totally game for getting yanked around until they decided, no, he is dead. And you're like, oh,
God, that's so funny.
And to be fair, I think there's a chance he's alive in episode 9. I think that's one of the things they might semi-retcon, but wow. I don't know that. It's just a guess. But yeah, it's disappointing. I wish he was still alive. Because I think it would have worked for the arc of the movie. What the movie is about, it's like losing your faith. If he was still alive, I think it would have worked. Whatever he's not, I'm going to get over it.
Some people have made the comparison that it was like using drugs. Like he had such a withdrawal from the Force for so long that he used such a powerful ability that's what did it. But I don't know.
Yeah. And I get that. And that's fine. But it would be better if he was alive.
Yeah. I mean, shoot. So yeah, so I mean that's where we're at as far as I do not like the movie, but I can find some things about it that I can say, you know what, they had something there. And in the same vein, you know, you're a fan, and yet you notice.
I love the movie.
Yeah, you notice these things that are like kind of pet peevey. And
I think it's the second best movie that Disney's put out in their reign of Star Wars. I think Force Awakens is the best, and I think Last Jedi is the second best. Which puts us at insane odds, but there are things about the movie that I think don't work. Yeah,
kind of interesting. I guess with that being said, what are your thoughts on our friend Mr. Rise of Skywalker here? What do you
Mr. Rise of Skywalker?
Do you? I mean, what are your thoughts about him or her?
Well, my first thought is that I bought the day that tickets went on sale. I bought 8 tickets, one for me, one for Mariah, and then one for you, one for Chloe, and then 4 extra tickets for whoever wanted to come. And the 2 that I reserved for you are not filled. Well, no, actually they're filled. I filled them with other people, but not you, which is what I really cared about.
Yes. Do you know, well, as a contrast, do you know how many tickets I bought?
0.
I have no tickets in my possession as of now.
No tickets. You're probably not going to go opening night.
No, I will. I might.
Failure.
You know what? So I don't get screwed. I might right after my. Well, let me explain. I have an intellectual property final. Which you know I probably should be studying for.
Yeah.
Here
probably.
I am talking about fake world.
Real smart.
Yeah, but I have a final exam from 6 to 9 that night, the opening night, and I was trying to make it work. I was like, hey, what time's the movie? And I think you said like 6 or something.
Yeah, it's 6:30. Yeah, there was no way you were gonna make it.
6:30 in Richmond.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, sure. I'll be there ASAP.
But yeah, I'm unable to make it, but I gotta be honest with you, I checked last night and I saw that there are still tickets available in local theaters. I might just buy some tickets and go right after the final, you know?
Yeah,
that
you
way,
should.
That way we could talk about it.
Yeah, I think you should. Because you'll see it. I mean, even you, if you hate it, you'll see it more than once. If I hate it, I'm going to see it 3 times. I'm already committed to 3 times.
Wow. Yeah.
Because
Well, I mean, sometimes you just need to see it more than once.
Yeah, you do. You do.
Although I don't know if I would go. I don't know. I have a whole opinion about the profit, or excuse me, the I don't know the proper word for this, but the proportionate value to a movie ticket. I don't think I would ever go see a movie twice in theaters because the value proposition. That's what I was going to say. I don't think I would go see it again because I saw it, let me think about it, and then when it comes out on DVD streaming, I'll watch it again, and maybe my thoughts have changed, and I don't know. But that's a different topic. But
yeah, no, it's a good conversation. I mean, and I've already, since I'm a Regal Unlimited subscriber, it's like, why wouldn't I go see it again? Plus, it's just there's no film property more valuable to me as a person than Star Wars, and so I don't mind supporting it. Just the personal value I've gotten out of Star Wars as like a person is crazy, and so I don't mind going to see it, even if I hate it. It's like, I'm gonna go see it again just to be sure that I hated it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna get value out of it because I love that property, and like, I mean, it's just huge for me growing up. So, anyway, Rise of Skywalker. I don't know where I am with this movie. I'm really hopeful because JJ's back. He made my favorite movie out of the new Star Wars, out of the Disney reign. The Force Awakens is amazing, and they're bringing the Emperor back. I think there's a lot of possible upside because it's either I don't know. It's gonna be great or it's gonna be awful, or it's just gonna be a middling mess, I guess. But I think it could be awesome. This newest trailer with Kylo meeting the Emperor. All in on that stuff. I hope it's the opening scene of the movie. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think he's going to try really hard. I mean, there's so many places you could take this conversation. Honestly, right now, people in LA are watching the movie right now, and we're going to get reactions soon. None of which I want to know about.
That's crazy to think about.
None of which I want to know about right now, but I just think I'm choosing to be like, okay, here's the honest truth. We have no idea what this movie is about. None of the trailers have told us anything that the movie is actually about. We know the Emperor's back. We know all the main characters from the last 2 movies are in it. Okay, great. Those were not necessarily secrets. So I don't know what this movie's about. I am choosing to be hopeful because I've seen enough stuff in the marketing that gets me excited. And because it's Star Wars, and so there's built-in excitement, this movie could flop really hard. I mean, this could be a terrible movie. Full disclosure, I think this movie could be terrible. I think the movie's going to have a hard time winning over people like me who loved the last movie and people like you who hated the last movie. I think it's got a real tough uphill climb against it. I think it can do it, but I don't know. I'm choosing to be excited about it. I think it might end up being kind of a middling thing for a lot of people. But I don't know. That's a word vomit. I'm choosing to be hopeful. I'm going with me and Mariah and 6 high school guys who we're hopefully all going to cheer for it no matter what, but but
it killed me, that sentence. You're like, I'm choosing to be hopeful. I'm going with my wife and 6 other high school guys. It was just like the perfect sentence.
It is a little bit weird. But we've watched most of us have watched the 10 Star Wars movies preceding this. And we're all crazy psyched out about it. I'm choosing to believe it's going to be good. I'm completely open to it being terrible. I'm just very curious to see what they do. My number one question is, how do they use the Emperor? Do they use him well? I hope they don't. I really hope they don't try to say Rey. I really hope they don't try to undermine everything that happened in the last movie. I'm going to stop talking because this is like, I could go on forever. There's too much to talk about with this movie. I just hope, I'm choosing to believe it's good. I think it's going to be good. I'm hoping the best for Palpatine, and we'll see what happens.
Let me ask you, is there any hope whatsoever, that there's more to Rey than we think?
If I'm writing episode 9, I leave it as Rian Johnson did it. I think the best thing is that she's nobody, because why does she need to be related to a Jedi we already knew? It doesn't matter. Like, that's not how the majority of Jedi, again, if you watch Clone Wars, you'll kind of get a better, even deeper appreciation for this. Most Jedi are just people who were born Force sensitive. And because we've been in this universe that's hyper focused on the Skywalkers, we've come to understand Star Wars as a soap opera where everybody's related to everybody, and they're only special because they're related to somebody. I think the best thing is that Rey is related to nobody, and we leave it at that, and we find her interesting as a character because she's interesting as a character, because she's a great person, and she's honestly, it's either her or Obi-Wan are my favorite characters in Star Wars. I really dig Rey. So, and that's a totally personal thing. Everybody's got their own favorite Star Wars character. I just think it's interesting that we could have a character who's special because she's awesome, not because she's related to somebody. I would have been open to her related to somebody before Last Jedi. If they try to change it now, it's going to feel like they're trying to make up for something, and I'm not stoked about that. So we'll see. I hope they keep it the same. I think they're going to play a little loose with it and say, yeah, you're nobody, but you're somehow a part of the Emperor's machinations, and you're a clone. I think there's a high possibility she's a clone, and that kind of dark side version of her we're seeing is another version of her that's a clone, but I don't know.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
I would say.
What about you?
I mean, I would say I feel like part of the reason that people are disappointed with her backstory is twofold. One, because I think the movie before made a big deal out of it. I think big enough, not, and you could say, oh yeah, they did it because it was like a red herring. Okay. You know, I can understand that. But number two is her power. It's just immense, you know? So it's not what I think people like myself. You disagree with what exactly?
I disagree that she's overly powerful compared for her place in the story. But keep going. Don't let me interrupt.
Gotcha.
I'm sorry.
I think that a lot of people are like, oh, this is great, because it means that people who come from nowhere, not from a lineage that we know of, can observe and learn and use the Force and absorb it. Yeah, no one ever had a problem with that. I don't think anyone was ever upset like, oh my God, now someone else other than Skywalker could use the Force. I think what it was people were just disappointed that she was so good right off the bat with no explanation. And maybe we'll get an explanation that will satisfy. I think if I could sum up not my expectations, what I would like from Rise of Skywalker is just connect the dots. You know, I already know at this point that it wasn't planned out. It wasn't planned out. You want to do solo movies. You don't want to do trilogies anymore. I got it. But what I'd like is just a simple, all right, connect the dots. Here's how we make sense of everything. As long as it makes sense, I don't think I'll be too upset. You know, I don't think there's any way. I don't think I'm going to like the movie worse than The Last Jedi. I'll say that.
Yeah, I think you'll like it better than Last Jedi, if I'm being honest.
They're already winning me over because it looks like a pretty elongated lightsaber duel.
I think there's going to be a couple. I think there's going to be a couple fights, and I think there's a lot that we're not seeing in the movie. I think there's a couple scenes, big scenes, that we are not seeing. Like, where's Luke? Where's Palpatine in the flesh? Like, there's something going on.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. Man, I gotta tell you, you totally know that Palpatine is gonna pop up on screen at one point or another.
Oh my gosh!
And that moment,
absolutely,
will be pretty cool.
And let's be honest, the number one thing, in my opinion, that will kill this movie is if Palpatine is in this movie for 5 minutes and he dies. That
is a VO.
If that's what they're doing, that means that this whole movie is designed to be some kind of weird, corporate boardroom written movie that is trying to quote unquote make up for the last movie. If they do that, it is going to completely throw this movie. He needs to be a central character in this movie for it to work, I think. And if he's not, it could be a mess, because they have been selling this movie on Palpatine.
Oh, totally.
And I think he is the connective tissue that you are looking for and that I'm excited for. And so he's the number one way the way this movie goes wrong.
Dude, wouldn't it be so funny if the movie ends and his voice is like, roll it again, and you watch all 2.5 hours again?
And the movie never ends.
Yeah. He's just like,
oh my god.
But it's a different movie. It's like, this is not what you wanted to see.
Oh my gosh. They shot like 5 different endings. It's a 10-hour movie.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That'd be terrible.
And that's only funny for anyone who's like, what? Why would that be cool? Is because he did that when they released the trailer at the celebration. Am I right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I was freaking out when I saw that. I was like, this is amazing.
He's like, kill me again.
Another time. So anyway, Star Wars. We're excited. We're also nervous, and we'll see.
Yeah, man. That's crazy. We're going to take a brief break to converse and to go to the bathroom and to do all kinds of things. And then we'll be right back.
All kinds of things.
Alrighty, welcome back. We're gonna take a hard turn, and we're not gonna talk about Star Wars anymore. Even though we could, again, probably another season of podcasts is Star Wars and aspects of Star Wars and all kinds of stuff.
100%.
But we're gonna move off of that and talk about something that we know nothing about: music.
Star Wars. Oh
yeah. Nah, dude. What have you been listening to?
So, good question. I have, in all honesty, what I've been turning on in like the moment is Christmas music.
Okay.
So I've been listening to a lot of Christmas music, but I've been thinking, sorry, that's my phone. I have been listening, recently, I've been listening to a lot of Drew Holcomb and the Neighbors, which I don't know if you've heard them at all. They're kind of, I guess you'd say they're Americana. They're kind of folksy, kind of acoustic, not really country, but there's maybe a couple moments in their songs that are like that. But their album Good Light, I have just listened a lot to. I think it's really good. So I've been listening to them. Honestly, their gateway drug was their newest Christmas EP, which is really solid too. but the Good
Oh,
Light
so
is
it's through
amazing.
Christmas music that you found out about this group, but this group is good on its own.
Well, to be fair, I actually found out about them through our mutual good friend Ryan, who's a drummer who loves them. But their most recent release was a Christmas EP, and that was like, man, this is really good. And I kind of got listening to them again, and like have listened through that album several times now. It's really, really good. But so I've been listening also to so Spotify puts out your top songs of 2019 playlist, and I have been listening through that. I'm like, man, I've got great taste.
Oh, me. Oh, me.
Oh.
Oh, gold-plated Jake.
Trae's favorite meme, me.
Oh, yeah.
I have partially been warped maybe by Mariah as well. I don't know. Because my number one song makes no sense, to be honest. So I'll skip that. But a couple of the artists I've been listening to this year that I've kind of gotten back into, Briston Maroney. He's like a 3-piece group. He plays guitar and sings. There's a bass player. There's a drummer. But it's kind of fun garage rock, but in a little bit more of a pop sense. Like he's got a pretty good ear for songwriting in a poppy way. So he's got an EP called Carnival that I really dig. And Freaking Out on the Interstate's a great song. This band My Epic, I may have mentioned them in our last podcast, I can't remember. Gotten back into the EP that they released this year.
The name is
Violence.
familiar. I don't know if maybe that's just because you said it to me or it was discussed on the podcast. My memory is not that perfect, so I don't know.
No. They're like a Christian group, but they've recorded with who is that guy who does the Under Oath albums? Who also did Brandon's? He produced Brandon's thing.
Wait, what? I don't think I knew that. Aaron or Spencer?
No. It's Matt Golt.
Oh,
Jesus, this is gonna sound
I don't know.
weird. It's he does produce Aaron Gillespie's stuff, or he has produced some of Under Oath stuff. I think it's Matt Goldman. This is gonna sound really ignorant if this just comes out uncut on the podcast, but
that's fine. Shoot, dude, I love Under Oath, and I don't even know who you're talking about right now because I'm just so out of the loop.
Brandon loves that guy. He's talked about him so much, but he does My Epic stuff. They're great. You might really dig My Epic.
Okay.
They put out an EP this year called Violence that I listened to a lot, and also then the last entry in this little section, the Tedeschi Trucks Band. Have you listened to them at all? I doubt you have.
I was about to say, does this sound like that maybe I might have listened to that band?
No, so they've got kind of a bluesy country-ish type vibe, a little bit similar to Drew Holcomb, sort of.
Ah, okay.
But they're a big band. The lead singer is a female who plays guitar. I forget her name right now. They write really great songs, but the guitar player can rip, dude. He's a phenomenal slide guitar player. In a way that, like, because I don't really play slide. I own a slide, but that's about it.
When you say slide guitar, do you mean he plays it as you and I would, except he uses a slide, or does he actually put the guitar down on his lap and he goes crazy like that?
No, yeah. No, good question. He does not play slide guitar in the sense that he lays it down flat and plays it differently. He plays guitar with a slide in a way that is just like, man, that guy can rip.
Wow.
And he's really good. He's one of those guitar players who can kind of like, in almost all of their songs, he's just always soloing almost. And you're just like, man, this guy's really good. So I don't know if he's necessarily your style as much as he is mine, but he is really, really good. So yeah, Foxy Shazam made it into my top of 2019.
Oh, wow.
Where'd it go? I forget where it went. Oh Lord. It's a great song.
Of course.
Yeah, it's a great song. We listened to that this year.
Dude, Foxy Shazam has changed so much.
Really? I haven't listened to any new stuff.
Oh, dude, I don't mean like today. I just mean like as an arc, as a band.
Oh, really?
They used to, Foxy Shazam used to be a band called, Train of something, Train of Thought, maybe. I have to go back and look at that. That's gonna bother me so much now.
One of the first, I remember you showing. So when I first met Trae quickly was made known to me as the guy who shows you videos of stuff. In one of the early days that we knew each other, you showed me a video of Foxy Shazam live, just people like losing their minds on stage. I was like, what is this, and how did this guy Trae find out about this band?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That must have been pretty early on in our relationship, because that's when
Yeah. No, it was definitely early on.
Wow. I was right, by the way. It is Train of Thought. I just looked it up.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, dude. Think about "Oh Lord" right now, like the way that song goes, and like what type of, they're like, this kind of sound like Queen, right? Like just like a straight up rock band.
Yes. The Queen ripoff was my first thought of them. I was like, come on.
Yeah, dude, I gotta send you something after this, but straight up, it was just like, it was just like crazy,
really?
Like crazy metal, dude. It was insane. No way. Yeah, it's insane.
Okay.
Obviously, I feel like all bands go through this. They're like crazy heavy, and then they're like, oh yeah, that's not in the mainstream, and then they kind of change. And they do things.
We want to make money,
It's like Bring Me the Horizon. Like if you listen to their first album and then listen to the most recent album, you're like, there's no possible way this could be the same group. And it is. It just bands change, man. That's how it is.
It's kind of the opposite of what John Mayer did, I guess. Too. He wrote his first couple albums were just kind of like pop nonsense, and then he wrote a couple kind of bluesy albums. Now he's back to kind of pop nonsense, but not nonsense, but. His first single was "Your Body Is a Wonderland," which is kind of like, okay.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy. No, I'll show you. I'll send you that Train of Thought link. It's really insane. Do. I've only been able to find 2 songs by Train of Thought, but they're both very weird. I will say that I like Foxy Shazam more, obvi.
Yeah,
they're very unique, whereas the first band kind of was not, in my opinion.
Yeah, just another like garage rock band or whatever.
Yeah, and you know what?
I will say. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that it's amazing to hear what you're listening to, so like what we're both listening to, because I feel like we have an impression of each other as far as. I would assume that you see me as kind of the metal and jazz guy, and I would see you as kind of a blues rock player, right? And yet you continue to say things that I'm like, huh.
A pentatonics man.
as one would say. A pentatonics box.
Yeah. And not pentatonics, the a cappella group, but pentatonics, the scale.
Oh, I was definitely talking about the group. I'm kidding. Yeah, no, it's just, oh Lord. Oh my gosh, I don't want to go into a tangent about acapella music. We'll save that for another time.
Yeah, that's a great topic, actually.
Seriously, it is. It was a huge college thing.
Yeah.
But I don't want to get too far off track. What were you gonna say before I opened my mouth about how our perspectives?
No, I was just gonna say, as I was scrolling through my top of 2019 list, I saw a song that you would be proud of that made it into the middle somewhere, or near the top actually. Is "Everything's Fine" by David Maxim.
Oh yeah.
David Maxim, on Bilo 3. Love that song.
Dude.
Every time that song comes on, Mariah asks, "What is this song?" She's like, she can remember that she's heard it and that she really likes it, but she can't remember what song it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, love that song.
It's definitely unique. I still love that record.
It is very good.
There are other
still
artists that actually I have on my list that are very similar to David Maxim, and I'll talk about them in a moment. Actually, I'll launch right into it. I'll talk about some of the things that I've been listening to. Some of it might surprise you, some of it might not. Are you familiar with The Midnight by any chance?
No, I don't think I am.
Bands like The Midnight and a band called FM84. Very, very cool groups. If you're into anything that is 80s aesthetic, like if you like, the music from Stranger Things, or if you even like old 80s bands, it's kind of like this new, it's the modern day time machine. If you want to hear, I guess, what 80s music would sound like if it would be popular today, with our type of production techniques and just stuff like that.
Can I pause you real quick?
Can you pause? Well, maybe not in real life, but
no, not real. No, this is part of the podcast. Did you see the new Wonder Woman 2 trailer? Wonder Woman 1984?
I had a feeling you would ask me about this. I chose not to watch it because I have not seen the original Wonder Woman.
Really? You didn't see Wonder Woman?
No, I didn't.
Okay, that's fair. It's a good movie. It's a solid movie. The trailer has this sweet song near the beginning that kind of runs through the trailer.
Yeah.
But just thinking of 80s music, it was sweet. But anyway, keep going.
Anyway, yeah, The Midnight and FM84, really cool groups. Really awesome. Okay. I feel, and you know what? I feel like a lot of people would want to, if I mention a band, a lot of people are like, oh, what song? I think all of them are great. I hate to say it. Just kind of pick an album and go through it. I think artists kind of select their song arrangements for a reason.
Yes, I agree.
So I would say this: look up these bands, and then whatever album artwork appeals to you most, click on that one.
That is a great recommendation.
It's not a fantastic one, because who says that the I'm trying to be funny in a sense, because I think most of their albums could sound like one big album. So if that's the case, then at this point, just have a moment with yourself, look at that album artwork, and if it speaks to you, just click on it and see what it has for you,
But so not to tear us off too much, but do you think that is a good, because I kind of think that's not a bad recommendation for most artists you like, to just say, you just listen through an album. Like, because I do think albums should be listened to as a whole. Like, is it bad to just pick an album? Like, okay, here's the artist. I like this album artwork. Go. Is that a bad recommendation?
No, I wouldn't say. I wouldn't say it's a bad recommendation. It's all, it's your goal. If you're, it all depends on how you want to experience music in that moment. You don't necessarily have to take my word for it, because music is so opinionated and so all over the place with people's opinions, that's the same thing. I don't think there's any one way to do it. There's no right way to absorb music. I think, because at one point I could say, oh, pick your favorite album art and go there, and you listen to it and you're like, that was great. And then you find another album and you love that album more. You're like, what the heck? Why didn't he just say start with this one? Because I love this one. It's like, well, yeah, but it's all similar. It's all similar style.
Yeah. And if you didn't like the first one, would you have liked the second one? If it's the same artist. Like maybe it just doesn't connect with you. I don't know.
Yeah, at that point it can only get better. If the album you chose was mediocre in your opinion, then move on,
Right.
But I think all this to say that I think everything from The Midnight is good, or good enough. I haven't listened to it enough to sit there and be like, I really wish they hadn't done this.
Sure.
But that's not the point of The Midnight. The point of The Midnight is just to have what I feel the point of The Midnight is, to have that 80s experience with really good tunes. And I feel like their live shows would be really fun. I was talking about this the other day with somebody. We were talking about what I call a turnkey band. And I say turnkey band, not turkey. Okay. I had a conversation with someone, and the whole time they thought I was talking about turkey. They were like, so why do you call it turkey? I was like, no. And like, they just kind of accepted it because, you know, I have a degree, and because I play guitar a lot, they were like, oh, this guy he must know what he's talking about.
He must just know vocabulary that I don't.
So I've since added another word, turnkey solution band. But still people think I say turkey solution, so it doesn't matter.
Okay.
But what do you know of that phrase, like turnkey solution? When you hear that, what does that speak to you?
Sounds like a consulting company, if I'm being honest.
Oh no. Well, have you ever heard of the phrase like, oh, that's a turnkey solution, you know?
I have. I don't know that I could place it in a definition though. So,
that's okay. Essentially, it's like a one-stop solution, essentially. So
okay.
If, you know, I've got a problem, or let's say I'm given the choice of 2 microphones, and my objective is I'm not a multi-million-dollar studio. I'm just myself, you know, I'm just in my room recording things. And you have 2 microphones in front of you. One is just okay, and the other one is like, you know, $10,000 studio quality microphone. And then you've got like a really crappy $30 USB microphone, like the one I advised you to get. I would say that the middle one is your turnkey solution, because if you want a really good recording, but not something that's just outrageous, then go for that one. One that immediately solves the problem and the objective for the context that you're in. Yeah. There's probably a better, more one-sentence explanation for a turnkey solution, but the bottom line is it's just your go-to for something, if that makes sense. Now, I'm relating this to music because I was talking about a band called Amur the other day. For anyone that knows that band, very heavy band. I think if I played some of their music for you, Jake, I think you'd lose your mind, like laughing, because some of it, yeah, definitely, because it's just undeniable. It's just unbearably heavy, and I like it, but some of the lyrics are really funny. I won't repeat them. We'll just have to meet up later and talk about this. Anyway, so we were talking about Amur, and I was just like, dude, Amur is like the turnkey band. If you just are like, I need to hear something heavy, but I don't want any down parts. I just want the whole thing to be crazy.
Okay.
Go listen to Amur, dude. Just go. I mean, like from start to finish, it's just like everything you could want in a show. I feel like if you're
like, what if I wanted the breakdown, but nothing else?
Essentially, I mean, there's arguments for and against that, but in my opinion, Amur is just a band that if they were playing live, I'd be like, let's go see them. It can't be bad, right?
Can't hurt.
It might hurt someone else, like in the pit, but it won't hurt me. All this to say is that I think the Midnight is a turnkey solution band if you're like, I want to feel like an 80s girl, or, you know, as we do. And
yeah, often, as I say to myself.
Yeah, if you just want to feel like you're driving on the streets at night and it's the 80s and, you know, everyone's wearing 80s clothing. I don't know. It's just got a very, very nice sound to it. I would also recommend it for anyone that just likes rock and pop, that kind of influx of music together.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. All this to say is go listen to it. With that being said, I've also listened to, are you familiar with River City Girls?
Jeez, that sounds super familiar.
It's not a band. It's not a band, I'll tell you that.
Okay.
It's a video game, actually, that came out, I think it's September. I'm not really sure. I loved it. I thought it was really fun. It's a beat 'em up. It's like an old school beat 'em up, but with like a modern flair to it, and a little bit of a manga anime approach. And the composer is someone named. Oh, I thought I had this right on my phone. I didn't. Anyway, the music of the game is a big highlight. It was composed by. I don't know if she sang over it. I actually need to go look at this again and see who sang, who did what instrument. But supposedly it was composed by someone named Megan McDuffie.
Okay.
It's also got kind of an 80s vibe.
Okay.
Maybe just because it's a beat 'em up and stuff, and thinking early video games in the 80s, beat 'em ups and whatever.
Sure.
But dang, it's a good soundtrack. It's like,
really,
yeah, like my brother and I were singing the songs after, like we were done with the game.
Really,
it was just so
like they're catchy,
very catchy, very catchy. And what's interesting is, in the game, you don't know this until later on, but in the game, and it's not like a spoiler, it's like part of the fun of the game. One of the bosses in the game is actually the pop artist who sings these in-game songs.
Interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
and it's like, it kind of reminds me of Nier. I know you haven't played Nier enough to know what I'm talking about, but sometimes they'll have the same arrangements, and sometimes vocals will happen, sometimes they won't. And the same is true with River City Girls, is sometimes music will play with vocals and sometimes it won't. But when the vocals kick in, dang, it's so good. It's the girl who's singing has got a beautiful voice. The instruments are very cool, very well produced. As far as like everything sounds good, like mixed together, and it's very electronic poppy, like a lot of beats and electronic synth stuff.
Okay.
But the songs on their own are just great. Like if it wasn't tied to a video game, I would just like always check up on this artist to see what they were doing,
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet. That's like been the connection point.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I would recommend to play that game, number one. But if you're not a gamer, go check this soundtrack out. It's so good. It's incredible.
What's it called again?
It's called River City Girls.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's like a sequel. I don't know enough. My first exposure to this was this game, so I don't know the background of it or anything other than that. It's also got a few tracks.
So you're not a River City girl. Trae, quote unquote, the River City girl.
Well, I think the sequel is about the girlfriends of the original characters.
Okay.
That's what I've gathered. I think.
Oh, really? Okay, weird. I wonder what the first one's called.
Again, as a standalone game, this game would be fine. So that's why I haven't done a lot of background research. I've just played the game and I was like, this is good. I like this.
Thumbs up. Yeah.
Yeah, I played it on PC, but it's available on Switch and all kinds of other stuff.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, really cool. In fact, I'll get it on Switch and then I'll just come over. It's really fun.
Sounds good.
What else was I gonna say about that? I can't remember.
Couldn't tell
but
you.
It's really good. My biggest problem with it is phrasing. Let's say I'm trying to think of a line on the spot, but if I oh geez,
you're on the spot now.
I know. I'm trying to think of something. All right, I'm reading my. So, let's say you're gonna laugh at me. I'm looking at the front of my computer right now at my Furman power conditioner, and I'm just reading stuff off of it. Power distribution. If I was singing a song, shut up. If I was singing a song, and the lyric was power distribution,
as it always is,
I would never do something like power distribution. Does that make sense? I think that there's a way to sing.
Sounds like a great Nirvana song.
No, I guess the difference would be distribution is all one word. I cannot stand it when lyricists do this thing and maybe I've done it in the past. It happens so naturally because you think, oh, this sounds good, but I don't like. It just makes no sense, I think, in the context of listening to the story that the song is trying to tell you. If I was like power, distra, and there was some time and there was a gap there, and I was like Bushin, like Bushin is not a word. So, or if I was, some things like that happen in the album, and things that I'm like, this is so catchy that I'm willing to forgive it, but it's distracting when you think about it. Or the stress is put on a word that's not important, like the word to, or a, you know what I mean, like an article.
Sounds like the problem of a guy who took a song about or who took a class about songwriting. Maybe. But
I
remember you bringing this stuff up before.
It's not. It is.
Wow, never would have thought about that.
It is that I don't claim to be, I would say, the master of songwriting. What songwriting class has taught me is that people think about this stuff. You know, I was in my own head about it. I never specifically heard my professor say, hey, don't put the stress on that word. But when I think about how a story flows and the way that the melody goes, and it's a very nice melody, every melody is very good in this whole soundtrack. But I'm sitting here singing it, and I'm like, it's weird that she ends on two, or like, because the sentence isn't over yet, the story isn't over, but there's a gap, and I'm like, ugh, it's just weird to me. I would have to play it for you. I won't play it at the risk of copyright infringement.
We want to avoid that as a podcast of 2 episodes.
But I'll show it to you sometime, and you can give me your own opinion. I don't think it kills the song. I just want to say that. I think it's a great song regardless. I'm just saying it happens. If there's something bad I could say about it, then that's the bad thing,
You're saying it's not a 10 out of 10. It's a, 8 or a 9 out of 10. Loved it.
Yeah, but it's got a pretty heavy seal of approval. Like, I'm really recommending that you listen to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I'm going to listen to it for sure.
Yeah, it's really cool. Dude, show Mariah. I think Mariah would love it, if I'm being honest with you. I think.
Really?
Totally.
Okay.
Totally.
That, honestly, that is a different level of affirmation to listen to something than just say, dude, you should listen to it. Because I think we know each other well enough to know that, like, look, even if you don't love this, I don't mind telling you should have listened to it because we're bros.
Right.
But if you're telling me that your wife should have listened to it, that's different.
Yeah, that's real talk.
Okay, River City Girls, original video game soundtrack. So it's an anime? Is it an anime?
So it's got, I would say, an anime flair,
Okay. Okay. What, is there a song? Flashback to the rest of the song, or rest of our conversation. Is there a song you would start out with, or just listen to the whole thing through?
Oh yeah. So in this case, it's interesting because the first song on the album that's released, is like the game intro, right? You typically wouldn't have that on an album, so this is like the theme that tells the backstory of the game. And then it goes into these. The thing with the soundtrack is that not everything is a song. It's just got music on it, right? Because a lot of it is buffer music, like, oh, someone's talking or things are going on right now, and we just need something in the background to keep it moving. I would say all the songs that have vocals in them, let's see, I'm looking at it now. What's interesting is on the Apple Music app, like, all of these songs that are good have stars next to them because people keep listening to them.
Okay.
Nice. But I'll give you some blurbs right now. The first song is good. It's like a rock cover. Okay. And then Bully's a good song.
Okay.
The Hunt.
Check that out. Okay.
And Rich.
Okay.
And there's a couple more in there that I'm missing that I know have vocals on them, but I just don't remember. The problem is I don't care at the title. All I can hear are these songs in my head. I still know the lyrics because they were so good,
Okay. Oh, that's sweet.
So yeah, check them out for sure.
Okay, I'm gonna listen for sure. I love it. Love it. Always love a good recommendation. I find more and more now that I get dried up on whatever I'm listening to. It's like I get stuck in the rut rather than, it's just like it's more annoying to like try something new and have it kind of be a bummer than to just listen to what I like. Okay, I've got, 3 minutes in the car or whatever. It's like I just want to like enjoy myself.
Yeah.
It's easier to just listen to what I know is good rather than, say, oh yeah, my friend Trae said, River City Girls was good, and then just be like, this sucks.
Yeah, and I think
I'm gonna try it though.
The greatness of it is mostly attributable to how the vocalist approaches the melodies. I think that's what really drew me in. Was the music itself was good. Even the music without vocals is awesome. But I would say that the way that the vocalist approached recording and the way that she decided to sing lines was really, apart from, my pet peeve of phrasing, which might not be her fault. It might just be what she was handed.
Sure.
But I think that is what really sucked me in, Okay.
I'm going to listen, man. I'm in. You got me.
I got my man, so for real.
Okay.
It was peace on you.
Yes. Okay. You got one, boy.
I love when you imitate the voice. You sound like just like a wise, cracking, fast talking.
Yeah, I sound like an idiot. Is what I sound like.
You sound like the Fonz. You know what I mean? I'm sitting here. I'm like, what's good? What's peace on you? And
it's just funny because I think it's such a funny voice, and yet I just can't. I can't get it right.
That's okay. It took me years of training, unlike Ray.
Training. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Years of training that she didn't have on Jakku, surviving by herself, living alone. Okay. Sure.
Yeah, that quarterstaff, bro.
Yeah, man, dude, she kicks the crap out of those guys on Jakku before Finn finds her when they're trying to steal her BB-8. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. You know what else was really cool? When she kicked one guard and 3 of them flew backwards.
So, okay, I have seen those videos too about how that scene is kind of has... But okay, let's be honest.
No, it's hilarious. Yeah, it was the Force. It was the Force. Yeah,
it's a movie thing, not a character thing.
Yeah.
In the scene, when I watch the scene, I don't see any of it.
Next time I mess up playing guitar, I'll just be like, it was the Force. It's like,
that's right. Yeah. Hey, you know what? You can say that if you want.
Someone force pushed my finger in the wrong direction.
Yeah. Yeah, and they'll say, okay, sounds good, man.
Dude, you're gonna love this. Wait, I actually just thought of this. I was going through my hard drive the other day and I found a ton of videos from college, stuff that before I had a massive amount of iCloud space that I had to move to my hard drive to save space on my low gigabyte phone.
Okay.
And I found a video of you playing at the Artful Dodger, dude.
Really?
Yeah. It was like the night that we went out in a Chuck's class and we went out and played So What and some other tunes.
Yeah. And then the next week, CJ talked about it, and he said, I saw Trae and Jake play back to back, and Trae was so good, and Jake was not. Do you remember that?
God. Oh, my God, yeah. Oh,
that's geez. Okay. He won't listen to this, and we love CJ.
That was so funny that it was the foundation of a sermon.
I know, it was like the foundation of his illustration, at least. And again, we both love CJ, but I remember being like, okay.
Oh my gosh, that was so good. Wonderful.
But it hurt because I knew it was true, because Trae is a far better guitar player than I am.
Oh, stop.
Which is probably relevant to the question that I know you're eventually leading to. But, yeah. Yeah. That's fine. I still have those videos as well from the Artful Dodger. I still have at least partial videos that Mariah took. Maybe they're different videos. I don't know. Maybe like Chloe took the videos that you have, or maybe you took them. You should send it to me, actually.
I'll plug back in my drive and I'll find that one. It was just like I was going through a massive amounts of data and then I found one and it was you playing guitar. I was like, what the heck is this? And then I watched it and it was you at the Dodger, dude.
Dude, that's the one and only time I've played, and definitely not gonna play there again because
I know it's
they
gone.
They are closed.
Yeah, crazy. But that's nice that we have memories like that. I think.
Yeah.
Somebody must have videos of me at some point because I always forgot. Looking back, I wish I had handed my phone to somebody and said every single time, hey, can you film this? It would have been so amazing to have all those performances strung together for me.
That would be sweet. That would be sweet. That would be a great thing to like offer to someone. I wonder if I might have some. I'll have to dig through too. But yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things you don't think about until it's too late. I've thought about that with just kind of like the stuff we did with InterVarsity. I was like, man, we didn't record like as much as we should have, you know?
Oh,
not out of, like,
I forgot to tell you.
Just to say, like, go ahead.
Sorry, we were just like, I imagine.
No, go ahead.
I imagine both of us were standing there with our mouth open, like,
yeah.
Dude, I found another video of us playing at IV. It was cool.
Oh, well.
Yeah,
we should talk.
Yeah, it was Break Every Chain, but I was like, yeah.
I've got that one. Yeah. I think I have that same video.
Yeah. Oh well.
I'm sure the listeners are finding this riveting. I thought it was like, oh shoot, we got cut off.
No, I just thought it was funny how like it was just like riveting, and then just like nothing.
you need to insert crickets there.
I know. I'll insert the thunder noise that I found. When
there you go. That works too.
Well, we're talking about guitar. Let me ask you: have you been like, what has been your relationship with guitar playing?
My relationship with guitar playing has been to be don't get worse.
Which is actually very motivating, I'll tell you.
Yeah, you know what? It actually is. And legitimately, it's been helpful. I am just in a place where I don't get to play live very often by choice and by necessity. And I don't do that very much. And that's fine. And like I'm working at a church, which it's like, you know, one of the great things about churches is that they've got a live music event every Sunday morning. But because I've got other roles going on in the church, I don't play at my church very often. I will this Christmas Eve, but not much.
Oh, that's great.
And which I'm stoked about, but it's not a common thing. And so I one of the main motivators for me for many years to get better, to play more, to try different stuff was, you're going to be playing once a week. And I don't have that anymore. And that's fine. So, but it's kind of, it has changed my guitar playing. It's like, literally, I play guitar whenever I pick up the guitar at home. And so if I don't want to get, if I want to, because we've both met those people who have like, yeah, I play guitar, and it's like they play guitar a lot in high school and college, maybe young adult, but they kind of burned out on it over time, and you hear them play guitar now, and they're not bad, but they're not great.
Oh, do you mean like capo warriors?
Yes. Yes. They remember a handful of chords that a capo really helps out with. And I would prefer not to be that person. I will fully acknowledge that I could be that person because there are other things that I find more important and of more interest to me than guitar, if I'm being 100% honest. I just know my life could take that direction, but I really love guitar and I love music, and I do not want to let that go, if at all possible. So, my kind of commitment right now is like, just don't get worse. Like, pick up the guitar once a day and play something. And actually in recent months, I've been able to keep that commitment. Just play something every day. And recently it's been Christmas music. I was playing I was playing Silent Night this morning, but kind of a little bit different of a version, and playing some like different stuff with it. The commitment right now is just like keep playing and try to get yourself to play something different. Don't just play the same thing every time you pick up the guitar.
Yeah, because then you're playing, you're not practicing, right?
Right, exactly. And so, yeah, I've just been trying to pick it up every day, play something, challenge myself on some small level, and don't get worse. So, that's not like a terribly motivating thing to say, but I want to keep playing guitar, and I don't get the opportunity to play it for people very often.
It's proportional.
Yeah, totally.
And I'd like to argue that what you're talking about right now, these feelings, we're talking about this in a musical context and something we both enjoy, playing guitar. I'd like to argue that this could be applied to anything that you yourself are particularly thinking about, in your life, your hobbies, your interests, things that you like to do. I have many friends that like visual art. Please continue to practice that. I have many friends that sing. Please exercise your vocal cords. Anything that you do that you like to do. Do you like to write stories? Like I think all these feelings are universal. They're part of the human condition. So I appreciate you kind of opening up about that.
Thanks, man. Yeah. Just doing my best not to sound like a jerk.
What do you mean?
Just, like you don't want to, I just don't want to be like, I don't want to be a bad guitar player. And think I'm amazing. Which, who knows, that might be happening right now, but.
Yeah, it's also a weird mindset because you do have to acknowledge where you've grown. You do have to acknowledge at least that I think you can play better than most people, really. Because you think about most people like our favored capo warriors, and they have their place.
Capo 9!
But at least that's not all you are, right? At least you can have a voice on guitar. And that's, I'm making fun of them. That's not a knock at people that don't know how to play guitar. Maybe they don't want to know how to shred. Maybe they don't want to know. Maybe they don't want to know.
No offense, but
yeah. Maybe they don't want to know all the chord forms that have to be associated with the W2 tax form. And
1099.
Yeah.
What was it that I texted you the other day? Something 13. What was that?
Oh my God, that killed me. When you sent me that, I died. What we're referencing right now is what we talked about. I feel like every podcast we should mention this guy once.
Dude, he is so good and so out of touch.
He is a piano player that is part of the YouTube channel Pretty Simple Music. He's got many different
amazing player.
Our shorthand opinion of his videos, we believe it would be easier to explain music theory, but for the people that don't care, he has these interesting ways to tie music into normal life cycles and mundane life tasks and stuff like that, like W-2s and doing your taxes and stuff. Yeah. What did you say? You said B.
What was the form? Because he's got a whole video about W-2 1099. The video is literally called W-2 1099 chord ? But he plays a chord.
Yeah.
That is something 13, and he breaks up the chord. He plays two different chords over the over thir, and then he plays another chord teen. I cannot. It's like, you have no idea what the difference is. But there's all these people in the comments who are like, dude, you're brilliant. Which he is. He's an amazing player. But you're just like, what is happening?
I found it. I was looking for it.
W2 1099 chord? Question mark.
I'm looking for... Oh, he says B613. That's what he says.
Yes, that's it. B6. B613.
In between those statements, he's playing a new sound. So like,
it is up to you to determine what the difference between thir and teen is.
I always thought 13 was just like one. Also, 6 and 13 are the same thing.
Yes, exactly, dude. Like, what?
Well, not if you're trying to like, if you're trying to stack chords and you're trying to explain to someone, hey, I want you to play both the 6 that's part of the octave and then the 6 that's above the octave. But
for like a normal human being,
it's so funny.
The 13 is not necessary.
Jake, can we please just talk about this guy every single episode, even if
seriously, he is so, and it's funny because he's clearly brilliant, and he just kind of laughs through his videos, and you're just like, what is going on?
Yeah.
I cannot track with you in any way.
Oh my gosh, it is my dream one day that he will join us.
That would be awesome. Pretty simple music. And it's funny watching all his comments. People are just like, dude, you're brilliant. But he's incredibly hard to understand.
Yeah, for someone who has maybe a pretty firm grasp on music theory, you might just be like, huh? But that's just I don't know.
13.
No, that kills me, dude. That is so funny. He's really funny.
He is, yeah.
I could watch a string of his videos in one sitting.
Then they're long videos too. I mean, he's like a physicist who's explaining explaining gravity to someone, and he starts out with something like maybe sort of relatable about like how you drop a rock and it falls to the earth, and then he jumps through 7 different hoops of like PhD level physics.
Yeah.
And he expects you to follow along. You're like, you're too smart for me to understand what's going on.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Anyway.
He's already gotten to the conclusion. He didn't tell you how to get there. He's essentially he's sitting there with the apple. He's like, so gravity, and you're like, wait, but what do I say on the test? You know what I mean? Yeah. Exactly.
It's like, I have to be almost as smart as you to understand what you're saying.
Yeah. That kills me. In turn, my battle with guitar, I say battle because I'm doing a couple different things that have been challenging me. One of which, are you familiar with Tom Quayle by any chance?
Sounds familiar, but no.
A lot of the guys that I'm listening to and the guys that I look up to now don't necessarily have albums. They're just like, they're what's known nowadays as like the internet musicians, like the Instagram musicians,
Yeah.
People who are just famous because they're good, not because they released a ton of albums. Like they're doing tons of like master classes. They, sometimes they release like Instagram videos of them playing a lick or something. Not a lot of albums, just a lot of great technique, a lot of great playing. And 2 of these people that I've been listening to quite frequently, depending on what I can find, what piece of media they've released, is Martin Miller and Tom Quayle. These 2 guys are really good, really great legato players, which is exactly what I would like to focus on. Tom Quayle is like known for legato. His legato technique is very beautiful. It's very, his expertise is in subdivisions. So like he really knows subdivisions and harmony and how they kind of live together on the instrument. So he's really great at technique, but he has a vast knowledge of jazz harmony. So he's able to blend the two and just sound like a monster shredder. But if I were to listen to anybody and be like, at the end of the day, you know, that's who I want to sound like, it would probably be Tom Quayle, to be honest with you. Because the way his kind of liquidy legato lines like flow together, and the way he jumps between subdivisions, you know, he'll be playing like part of his lesson structure is learn how to do subdivisions, you know, like play eighth notes over something, over a click, and then continue to move through the different subdivisions, such as eighth note triplets, and then go to 16th notes, and then 16th note triplets in 30 seconds and stuff like that. And you know, that's a general practice regimen, but some of the materials that I'm working through that I bought from him are very focused on that. And he just recently released a legato workout package. And I must stress again, the reason why I'm concerned with his sound and the reason why I'm interested in legato is because I'm left-handed, but I play guitar like a right-handed player. And I feel like my left hand is the stronger hand. So the less movement I can do in my right hand and the more I can do in my left is good. So I'm very interested in players that can make their left hand lines sound very together, you know. That's why I'm so interested in this
Which
player.
makes you different from the normal metal player who just wants to, like, you know, chug on the E string.
And there's a place for that. You know, there's a place for chicken picking and you know, the whole Paul Gilbert, like he strikes every note, like he, you know, his good alternate picking skill, and that's really cool. I wish I could do that. I'm unable to, but I am making progress towards my left hand, so why don't I just keep going that way?
Right, yeah.
And Tom Quayle's the guy to do it. You know, he's the guy you want to look up to if he, you know, if that's something that you're interested in doing. So I've been going through his workout package that has really done a number on my hand. In fact, I've only gotten a little bit through it, but even from the first lesson, I've already noticed a small change in like in the way that I pick up a guitar sometimes and start launching into lines. Like it feels, I don't want to say I've gotten better, but I'm feeling more comfortable, like with the difficult passages that he's provided. It doesn't take as much mental effort anymore, you know. And I say that I've got a long way to go before I get where I want to be.
Sure. But
even going through a little bit of his materials from his new lesson, it's like, wow, I could see the value in this. It's like someone who's like, I want to lose weight. And then you're already tired after like one day of the treadmill. You're like, oh my gosh, but you see the value in it. You're like, oh my gosh, I could see that if I do this every day, something will happen, you know? Yeah. And that's where I'm at. And I do have an interesting point that I want to make, and something that I've been wrestling with. It's a very big life change for me.
Okay.
And I want your thoughts on it. I am thinking, and this is not just because of Tom Quayle, but I'm thinking just about my life and the time I have to practice and what I want to accomplish with my guitar playing. And I have given thought, it's going to hurt a little bit, but I was thinking about switching to all fourths tuning permanently.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Really? So starting on E? Or how does that work? I honestly am not familiar with that.
So you could do it a multitude of ways, but a typical guitar is tuned from the top string, the lowest string E, to the bottom string E. It would be this. It would be E, A, D, G, B, E, right?
Okay, yeah.
And I messed up there because I was thinking about the tuning I was going to go to. Now, what's interesting is that this is fourths tuning, except there's a weird third between the D and
wait. Is that violin mandolin tuning?
Yeah, actually, you know, a violin is fifth tuning, I believe.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
Wait.
Well, here's the thing, dude.
You're thinking about switching to fifths or fourths?
Fourths.
Isn't it already tuned in fourths?
That's
you're
the
talking
point.
about switching from the G to B, which is a third. Right?
No, that's where I'm at. Is the G to B
Okay.
is a third, right? And then we go back into another fourth, the B to E, right? We have
Yeah.
totally lost
Yeah.
people who aren't musical, but just know, guitar players are following, but just know that guitar has been tuned in such a way that is actually pretty thoughtful. Like a lot of the open chords that you can do are very nice with this
Yeah.
tuning. The Capo Warriors love these chords.
Yes.
But
Me
what
too.
essentially what all fourths tuning means is that the guitar now becomes 100% symmetrical, meaning that you can learn a chord shape. Here's what it does. It effectively cuts all the learning you have to do by 2/3. That's what it does. Because think about it,
Really?
is when you learn chord forms, you have to switch because that nasty third is there, that G to B. You actually have to learn about 2/3 more because you have to compensate for that weird switch. If you switch to all fourths tuning, one chord shape is the same everywhere, no matter where you start that bass note.
Yeah. So you're thinking almost like in terms of like a power chord. Like a power chord is a power chord is a power chord, no matter what string you start on.
True, but
Whereas
even that,
with the
even a
guitar, how
power
you're
chord would
starting
change.
now.
Even a power chord would change. Think about if you were playing a power chord, but you were starting on the D string as your bass note. Just visualize that for a second.
Yeah. Right now you've got to ooch the octave up. Like your fingers don't reflect what that would look like a string lower.
Correct. So all fourths tuning does is makes everything symmetrical. There are some downsides. The biggest downside being goodbye cool little open chords that you used to do.
Yeah.
The biggest downside is that for all my life, I've known that to be GBE, and
Yeah.
now it will be GCF, right?
The muscle memory is out the window.
True, it is. I would have to rework it, but in the same vein, for the kind of fast lines that I'm trying to do, wouldn't it be nice to just be able to grab those lines knowing that the whole guitar was symmetrical and not to have to compensate for any sort of, oh yeah, I forgot I got a shift here. You know what I mean?
And you want to do this because of legatos? Is that what you're saying?
I'm sorry?
You're wanting to do this because of legatos? Is that right?
Legato is a big portion of it. Why I'm wanting to do it is because I can't stop thinking about the amount of time that I have to practice. And when someone says, hey, here's this thing that will help your guitar playing in this way, it will help you cut down all the practice that you have to do by 2/3. Because once you learn a thing, you don't have to learn 2 more things to compensate for that third, right? So it was very, very interesting to me to kind of investigate fourths tuning and think, wow, if I really went for this, then I would learn one shape for every chord that I know, and then I could move it around and hit octaves faster. Like if I was hitting a chord, I wouldn't have to change. I wouldn't have to think as hard about it. That's not necessarily a problem for someone who's been playing for years and is like knows all the forms really well. I'm still young. I'd say young enough in my guitar career that I still have to think sometimes about grabbing certain chords, even though I know a lot. I know a lot, and I'd say I'm good at guitar, but I think
Yeah, I would too.
I mean, there's always room to learn, and the thought of fourths tuning very, very, very much intrigues me. But I have to reiterate, I'm still thinking about it, and that's like a divorce, right? So it's like a serious switch over. That's not to say I could always go back if I didn't like it, and I could always, if someone handed me a guitar that was in regular tuning, I would just, go back to instinct and be like, what do I know about my regular?
Right.
What do I know? But it is just something to think about. If someone told you, hey, Jake, cut down all your learning by 2/3. You know, all the time that you don't have to practice, now you have all of a sudden exponentially more time because of this interesting trick. However, you just have to reset your brain, right? It's like a huge trade-off.
Yeah, I don't know that I could do it. Like, to me, it's like, I've learned guitar this way, I'm going to stick with it, you know?
Yeah.
Because to make the jump, it's just seems like more of a cost.
Yeah, think about that for a second. I mean, like, as much as, you know, I'm not trying to put like a huge like branch between us, like, oh, we're so different in skill level. But if you're thinking it's hard for you, imagine like I'm sitting here going, oh my gosh, like, do I really want to do this, you know?
Yeah. But I mean, but the thing is, like, what most professional guitar players are playing in standard tuning, right?
I would say most. Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely. Regular tuning, standard tuning is what the norm is, without a doubt.
Right.
There's very few people that play in all fourths tuning.
Yeah.
But very few people that I know about. You know, I know about Tom Quayle. I know about Stanley Jordan. I know about a couple other jazz players that thought it was cool, except they didn't tune their 2 strings up. They tuned the rest of the guitar, like, down. So, like, they started on E flat instead, you know?
Oh, weird.
Yeah, so they got those low tones, and then they kept the top 2 strings the same.
That's an even weirder way to start out.
It's interesting, right? It's very interesting.
Yeah. That sounds like the artsy version of playing guitar before. Like, it's like the hipster version of playing guitar before there was a hipster version.
Yeah, it would be like the
what
way
if I tuned?
it would be the way to like if you wanted to play with a lot of jazz players but you wanted a regular guitar's brain. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, totally.
Because we like to play on those dots and on those inlays and stuff, and that would be a funny way to kind of compensate for that.
Yeah, and it's similar to, like, you know, the person who wants to, like, it's like, what if we just use the metric system, which makes more sense than the, you know, pounds and inches and feet and everything, the English system that we use. Like, what if we just use the metric system? Like, it makes more sense in one way, and then you're like, but orienting my brain to that seems way harder. So,
oh yeah, we're already so drowning in the not metric system that, like, it would, yeah.
Right. It's like I'm familiar with it, and you know what? There's nothing wrong with familiarity. Like, I'll take the familiarity because it's what I'm used to, and like you said at the very beginning, you know, the standard tuning of a guitar is actually relatively thoughtful. Like, to have an E on both sides is actually, like, there's a lot of benefits to that as well.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting thought. I certainly would not make the jump, but I think it would, at the very worst, be a great mental exercise to try for a little while.
Yeah. I mean, if you know your interval shapes really well, just think about it. You'd be like, I know exactly where the major sixth is. You know, I don't even have to think, oh, right. Wait, what string am I on? Oh, yeah, wait, I got to shift here. Oh, shoot, you know. So every interval would be the same everywhere. So that's what I'm saying is, like, I'm sitting here going, oh, my gosh, that's like a whole new world to me. And would that, you know, is it worth, you know, as I'm going through these legato workouts, would it be worth just switching to the tuning and doing them in the tuning so I could be like, okay, this is my workout, you know, like trying to adjust and switch permanently. But
sure. Yeah.
Who knows, man?
I bet you stay standard.
I will say,
dude, if you're a rock guy at heart, which means you're going to stay standard.
Possibly. I will say there are more arguments for me to stay in standard, but I will not discount the allure and the interest and
the sexiness, as it were.
yeah, the force, as one one says.
You're Maxie wondering if you should bite the force.
Oh my god, dude. You have no much.
Deep cut. Dude, you know what he actually says there? Dude, I
Please
saw
tell
it
me.
when we were watching with subtitles. It's not Maxi Bit the Force. It's something else. I'm going to look it up real quick.
It's Maxi Bit the Force, dude. I'm telling you.
No, it's not. It's not. I remember looking at it and being like, that can't be right.
But Maxi Bit the Force is so funny.
No. It's... Wait, hold on. It's pulling up. Maxi Big the Force. Is Jar Jar... Okay,
wait, so he still says Maxi, but he says Big instead?
Yeah, wait, hold on. Is Jar Jar trash talking about the Force? What is he saying there? When he's talking to Obi-Wan in the bongo, he says something like Maxi Big the Force, and it doesn't sound... Shoot, this is the wrong thread to be a part of.
See,
Maxi Big the Force. So it's not Bit, which we both unquestioningly were on the same page with.
we're on the same Force Skype call.
Yeah, that's right. We were. Oh my gosh. Why is the only place you can read about this is weird?
This was a hard switch. I just want to explain that this was a quote that Jar Jar said in The Phantom Menace in Star Wars. We again have retreated back to Star Wars, but Jake and I have undeniably thought that it was Maxi Bit the Force.
Yeah.
And it's not
Max,
that.
nicknamed Maxi Bit with his teeth the Force.
Wow.
And that's not right.
That's crazy, dude. They've been subverting our expectations.
It's Maxi Big the Force, which doesn't make much more sense, but it's different.
And that's what's important.
So, that's what's important.
And as you can see, this directing technique is not new. Since '99, they've been subverting our expectations. They have been going crazy.
That's right.
We thought it was Maxi Bit, and it was Maxi Big, and now I hate the movie because of that.
Yeah, and ever since 2002, when Attack of the Clones was released, I think that's the year, they have been subverting our expectations by making an occasional bad movie.
An occasion. Oh my gosh.
That movie is terrible.
Let's just make a Star Wars Hallmark movie.
Yeah, starring Jar Jar Binks and Maxi Big.
And they somehow encounter the Force.
That's right. Yeah, it's a rom-com. Maxi Big is the main character. Jar Jar Binks is his friend, and DeForce is the girl.
Oh, that's great. That's so wonderful.
Man,
I completely blanked. I don't know how we got on that topic at all.
I don't know either. There's no connective tissue.
I can't wait
to
to listen to this in post and be like, huh. How did we get there?
None of that made sense. Oh, well. We've covered every topic known to Star Wars and music in the same podcast episode.
Covered quite a bit.
I think.
I'll give you that much.
We've covered it extensively.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at with guitar, essentially. I'm trying some things. I'm being very experimental. But I think the goal is the same. I don't want to get worse, you know? I mean, life still trudges along, and we still have many things to do. I, for one, I'm trying to be an attorney. So that's kind of hard.
Yeah.
And you've got a job and a wife and stuff, and like, dude, stuff is just there, you know, and you gotta take what you can when it comes to practice time, and you gotta use it wisely. So you know, I'm always interested to hear in your guitar journey, man. I'm always here for you, and I always want to know what's going on. So in case you want to ask me any questions or anything, I can point you towards sources, or if there's something specific that you want to kind of learn more about, then I can help you do that.
No, we have always been interested in each other's journey, but it's also very we've started from different places, I think. Which, by the way, I have a guitar-related question to ask you as soon as this podcast is over.
Is it? You think it would be an interesting point of discussion? Do you want to ask it on the podcast?
No, it is. It would not be interesting at all.
Okay.
It involves scheduling and boring things.
Oh, okay. No worries.
Yeah.
Well, in that case,
Maxi Big DeForce.
yeah.
It should be how every episode ends.
And Maxi Bit.
Maxi took a big old bite of that sandwich, known as the Force.
Oh yeah, it's big. Oh, see. Oh my gosh, you're right. It is hard to change. Maybe I shouldn't switch. Yeah. Because I'm gonna keep going back.
But honestly, Maxi Bit the Force makes more sense than Maxi Big the Force.
If I can say Maxi Big 3 times in a row, then I switch to all 4 words to me. And then I'm good to go.
It's weird, but it's fair.
Yeah. It's an unorthodox way to choose your guitar path.
Yeah, totally. Well, dude, this has been awesome.
It has been. It's been really awesome.
It has been. We've gone for 2 hours and 45 minutes. So
yes,
anyone who's still listening is a trooper.
Yeah, man. Well, it's a lot of content that we can shove into this time frame. I don't know what I'm saying. I was just trying to say that
YouTube video.
It's been a long time since people have heard from us. So I'm okay with a few closing remarks. However, I did want to just say a couple things about. Let me ask you this. Here's a fun closing question.
Okay.
And you can elaborate as much as you want. Name one thing on your Christmas list.
Oh. Okay. Okay. 2 things on my Christmas list. My most wanted items. Which are both also the most unrealistic items. One is the collector's edition with a price tag of $800. Mm-hmm. The collector's edition Lego Millennium Falcon.
All right, now I know you're messing with me.
Which is actually related. No, it's on my. It's legitimately on my wish list, but it costs $800 because it is the biggest Lego they have made, and it would be. I would die if I got to put that thing together. But
is this life size?
No, it is like. Geez, it's probably almost 3 feet long, and a 1.5 feet, 2 feet wide, or something like that. It's huge, but it is. You look it up. I mean, it is the biggest Lego. It is amazing.
Wow, and they're selling that for a fair chunk of change. Holy crap!
Yeah, $799 or whatever. So I put that on there almost as a gag, like. If someone wanted to buy it.
Oh, as a gag. Cool, that's awesome.
But
you would not be upset.
In life, no, yeah. At some point in life, I think I will spend that much money on it. The second thing is this is more related to my actual life, is the N.T. Wright, who's an author, New Testament series of his commentaries on New Testament books, which is kind of expensive, but one that I would have been super interested in. So 2 very different items, but 2 things that I've really wanted.
Sure. Wow.
Yeah. How about you?
I would say pedal board materials for a long time. That's like there's a couple things involved in that, but that's just like my one bullet point answer. For most of my life, I've been kind of a digital modeler guitar player. I bought Line 6 growing up as I was learning. And then finally, when I, became decent enough to play and understand sounds and tones, I got an Axe Effects, and that's what I've been playing through because it does everything for me. It's got a whole bunch of effects in there, amps, cabs, all types of modeling. I loved it. I've recently discovered though that there are just limitations to the XFX, and in fact the unit can be improved with some real life analog pedals. The most recent of which is a dual overdrive pedal that I got, called the Dual Fusion pedal.
Okay.
Sounds amazing. I love this pedal so much. But I've been using it with digital modelers, and I was like, wow, this is very interesting. I like this. And I've got some other interesting pedals, like I have a compressor and the freeze pedal and stuff like that. But I just never use them because it's a pain in the butt, because I don't have a board. You know, I don't have the patch cables. I don't have the power cables. I've got like one power cable for like each of them. And what am I going to do? Plug them all into the same outlet? I don't know. It's crazy. So this year, my goal was to grab just a pedal board kit. You know, I got a board, you know, with all the materials to put it together. Got some patch cables, a power box, and hopefully I get a sweet little pedal to kind of include to that, a nice little reverb delay pedal or something like that, so I can complete the off-board thing, so I could use it with maybe another amp, but it would also complement the XFX, so I can have many effects, many analog and digital effects at the same time. So I really, you know, I got the XFX to stay away from pedals, and now I'm like really into pedals.
Nice.
The pedal.
That's funny, because I remember you being like, "No, I don't need any pedals. I just have this box."
Seriously. I mean, would you agree? But it's so fun though, the pedal world, because I keep looking at my XFX and I'm like, I love my XFX. I love it so much. I think it's a great unit. But man, I used to bother me so much when I would see people's overdrives pedal. I'm like, oh, that's such cool artwork, you know. Looking at that delay pedal and the way, you know, the different electro harmonics pedals, the Earthquaker Devices pedals, like they all have such great little, like, it's definitely a scene, right? It's definitely part of the pedal world is to have this aesthetic to your pedal.
100%.
And
it's another way to differentiate yourself.
Yeah, and that's so much fun. Although all the pedals I have are kind of boring looking, in my opinion.
Yeah, same.
I don't have anything interesting looking, but they all do their job well, you know.
Which is the point. It's like you want it to sound good.
It is the point. Have you seen the meme, the shoegaze meme, where, you know how people take pictures and it's like their guitar and they're like stepping on their pedals and stuff? I found one picture and it was like, just like a general picture, you know, if someone wants to look cool, they'll like take a picture of themselves playing their unit, their rack unit or whatever.
Yeah.
I found I found one picture of like a shoegaze, and shoegaze is like, you know, very, you know, it's got its sound. It's like very pedal driven, very ethereal, very, you know, sonically driven. And it was a picture of a guy, and he was like holding his pedal board in his hands, but his foot was on the guitar. It's like, so he was playing, like the pedal board was more important in that style of music. So it was hilarious. Yeah, if you saw the picture, oh my gosh, it's so great.
Yes, that'd be awesome.
But yeah, dude, that's great, man. I hope you get your Millennium Falcon.
I don't think I will. And honestly, I probably shouldn't. No one should buy me an $800 toy as a 24-year-old, but that's okay.
You should write,
as it should be.
You should write in there. You're 24?
Yeah. How old are you? 25. You're older than me, though.
Oh,
you just had a birth.
We weren't born in the same year. Subverting expectations.
Oh my gosh, this whole podcast has been a subversion.
I thought earlier you had said, "Oh yeah, we were born in the same year," and I was like, "Is that true?" I didn't know that. Oh, okay.
I assumed, but I actually forgot. Well, no, we would have been born in the same year, right? Because, well, maybe not actually. No, because you were born. Let's see. Your birthday is
yes,
is what it must be. Okay.
Yes, and
you are older than me by 5 months.
Yeah, I will accordingly bleep all of that out, just so it's not on.
That's right. That's fair enough. But leave everything around it in, so it's just bleeping.
Yeah, that's fine. I just thought that was so funny because I was like, wait, I'm not 24.
Yeah.
So,
no, I'm 24.
That's
young.
great. Anyways, but yeah, dude, you should write into the Millennium Falcon list. You should be like $800 Millennium Falcon or gaming PC.
Yeah. I'll be honest, man, at this point in my life, an $800 Millennium Falcon Lego sounds more appealing than a gaming PC.
Ooh, really? Well, you know what? One day I will. One day I will. Maxi Big.
Yeah. A big wallet.
Force, yeah.
Maxi big wallet.
Oh
DeForce.
my God, that's so good.
Yeah. Hey, I'll let you buy me a computer at some point in life.
Sure. Yes.
I'll allow that.
Yes. When I'm very lawyer and you're very not lawyer, I can buy you a gaming PC.
Yes. That would be wonderful.
And then we could not do our jobs and play video games.
Yes.
Anyway, so as we kind of close out here, I just wanted to reaffirm kind of the future of CrownCast. It's still a thing, and I definitely want to bring more people on the show here and there. You know, I've got different ideas for podcasts in the future. I'm sure you do as well, and I'm sure you have people that you might want to bring on. But, you know, we really wanted to do this before Star Wars came out because we both had very differing opinions, but I'd say same passion for the franchise. We really enjoy it.
Yes. Yes,
and I thought that would have been interesting to kind of investigate. And as per Crown's Guard tradition, we always have to talk about music and what we're kind of listening to and doing. Maybe have some tips here and there. In the future, I hope to kind of investigate more music and gaming because recently the Gaming Awards have just happened, and I wanted to talk about that so bad as soon as possible, but I know that you haven't seen it, and I haven't finished watching it yet because I put that on hold because I'm studying for some finals and stuff, so I didn't want to watch the whole thing. So that'll be something that, and of course you don't have to watch the whole thing. I'll just give you some highlights, but there'll be some gaming topics that you might want to familiarize yourself with.
Totally.
But more music and gaming. There's also, I wanted to bring on a buddy of mine, Justin, to talk about that. So he'll come on. We want to talk a little bit about Death Stranding. That's kind of what to look forward to in the future. And then at some point, I'd love to bring Cam on and talk about some visual arts because I don't know how well versed you are in this area, but I don't know much about visual arts, if at all. I can't draw that well. So I would very much like to have that talking point, a piece of art that I'm not great with, to have someone kind of give their thoughts on what's important in that realm and so on.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, man.
So,
hey, as always, I very, very much appreciate your time. I love talking to you. I love hearing your thoughts on things. And
love it. Love being a part of it.
And and you know, signing off, Maxi Big.
Maxi Big and DeForce.
Yeah.
I'm Maxi Big, and this is DeForce.
That's so stupid.
It is. But maybe we can just sign off as CrownCast.
What's that?
I don't know. I said we can just sign off as CrownCast. Cut all this out. This is terrible.
Nah, I can't. Is there anything you want the people to know before we head out here?
No, I'm tired. That's all I have. I'm incredibly excited for Rise of Skywalker. And yeah, I'm done.
Wow, dude, what time is it where you're at in your time zone?
Yeah, I think we gotta be in the same time. It's 12:40, man. You live in Virginia Beach, man. This is not.
I'm so mad you answered. Oh man, that's great. It's pretty late. It is pretty late. I'll give you that. So,
it is late. I am ready to go to sleep.
All right, man. Well, again, thank you for your time, and thank you all of you who joined us this evening or morning or whenever you listen to this.
Casters, all of you crowners, all of you crowner casters.
Yeah, we're gonna need a good fan. Maxi.
No, I don't. Yeah, Maxi.
I'm actually gonna cut
big
that out.
boys.
Yeah, I have to cut that out. It just does not sound right, so I have to cut it out.
The Maxis. I don't know.
No,
we cut all this out. This is bad. the Maxi Forcers. The Maxi Forcer. The Forcer Maxis. I don't know.
Yeah, in my mind, we ended the episode
there's something in there.
Yeah, an hour ago, so we're fine.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
All right. Great, man.
All right. Goodbye.